Hello and welcome to another episode of The Brothers Discuss. I am Alex.
And I'm Chris.
Chris, I don't know about you, but we're not alone again. That means it's time for another tier list crossover event. Last year we did a crossover with a buddy of mine, Kale's podcast, the Youth Critic, where we ranked all the non-MCU Marvel movies. But now he's back. Brandon is back. This time we're doing DC movies. So say hello, Kale and Brandon.
Hello, I am Kale Smith. I'm from the Youth Critic podcast.
And I am Braden Cooley. I help out on Kale's podcast sometimes.
Nice.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Perfect.
And so wait, what are we here for today? What have you summoned, summoned us for?
Well, okay, so we are once again doing a tier list for DC movies, but this time every DC movie, because spoilers for this part, we're talking largely the Snyderverse era of DC films, which is now defunct. It is dead and buried because we're paving the way for another attempt at a DC universe, the second attempt in this century, which is kind of depressing to say, but yep, here we are.
It's so exhausting that we're now on the second or third iteration of the DC cinematic universe.
Right.
Well, third if you, depending on who you ask. So go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So part one is going to be on Kale's podcast. So there's a link in the description. So check that out first if you are so inclined. You don't have to, but you probably should.
It will provide a lot of context for what we're about to say on this show. So,
yeah, we'll see how many times I can fit in Melvin, brother of the Joker, in this episode.
Oh gosh, yeah. I had to cut that down to 300 references in the last episode.
That's kind of generous. Thank you. Anyways, all right, let's get going. We're gonna kick things off with the start of the DC extended universe, and that is 2013's Man of Steel. Chris, do you want to take this one first?
Yeah, sure. I won't be too long on it because it's most of these that we're going to talk about I've only seen once.
Same here.
Man of Steel is no exception. I've only seen it the one time all the way through. So it's, and you know, I think over time there's some things that are kind of neat, I guess, but it's, all in all, this is just not my ideal portrayal of Superman. And, sorry, Snyder fans, it just doesn't really work for me.
I thought it was fine when it came out. I mean, I don't understand the outrage about it. I think it's parts of it are mediocre, other parts are good. It's a good alien invasion movie. It doesn't feel like Superman, so I know that's why people don't like it. I'm fine with that because I don't really like Superman that much. But
sure.
The action is a bit much toward the end. I mean, it's good, but it's also a bit exaggerated to the point of, I mean, they've made jokes that, it's like 10 9/11s happening and like this metropolis, so it's a bit dramatic. But I don't know. I don't really understand the outrage about it. So I'd give it a C. I don't really have much of an opinion. But
okay. I think it's fine. It's an interesting movie, right? Just because of what it stemmed. It feels weird because I feel like the stuff that we have now, the mentality of these movies and everything, that didn't exist in 2013. But I don't really feel anything with this movie anymore. But it feels like you're supposed to have some sort of strong reaction no matter what. I like things about it. I don't like things about it. But it's created this whole phenomenon in a way. This
is my least favorite of the so-called Zack Snyder trilogy. And what's interesting about it is there are I think the first two acts are really solid, like us learning about Superman, learning about Clark, and I do think Snyder and Goyer do have one really good scene where Superman gets bullied by the truck driver and he does the pacifist thing and walks away. That is something Superman would do, is just be like, no, I'll take the high road. But then it's followed up. But then, just like the third act, it's followed up with a CGI truck being mangled. So, it's like you get one thing right, and then you immediately follow up with, something that Superman would never really do.
Sure.
Even if it's a joke, even if it's justified.
Right. How does everyone feel about Henry Cavill in general as Superman?
I don't think he ever got his colors. I don't think he ever really got to really shine in the role because in the first movie he's kind of like Clark Kent, like, in that, like him discovering himself, like kind of sort of like what they skipped over in the Richard Donner movie.
Yeah.
And then in BVS, he kind of just is unless you watch the director's cut, he really doesn't get to be a reporter. He doesn't really get to do any Clark Kent stuff, and then he's dead for most of Justice League. So,
Right.
and what's weird is like the little bit he is in it where he's fighting, Darkseid is actually like, oh, that's actually it's where he actually kind of sort of shines the most. And like the imagery of him like in space and all that, like it's all the best. It's actually all like really good imagery, Superman imagery. But I'll also say, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Man of Steel. I think that third act, that last 45 minutes is so rough.
Yeah.
Because one, you have the Kansas, fight scene, which alone would have been the climax of like any other movie. Have the whole fight, and it's so explosive. It's so insane. Like it gives Michael Bay a run for his money.
Yeah.
But
I mean, to your point about Henry Cavill, real quick, like I agree. Like I don't feel like he ever reached that point where he got to even be the Superman that he wanted. So it's like, I like Henry Cavill. Like I think he's fine casting, but he just never did anything that special. But I mean, the cast all around, I think, is pretty good. I mean, I like Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White. I think is really great. I love Michael Shannon. Russell Crowe as Jor-El. It's my favorite Jor-El. I do like a lot of the casting in this film, but I guess in terms of the way they're all utilized, it's maybe not ideal. Like I'm looking at you, Amy Adams.
But just insane because Amy Adams is like you can just you can just imagine her Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like by the time we get to Snyder Cut, she's just a nothing character to me. Like, and it's a bit of a shame because Lois Lane is such a pivotal character for the Superman mythos, and I don't think she does a horrible job in this movie, but nothing about it really latches onto me as like a Lois Lane performance, especially when you do look at like the history of Lois Lane and be like, wow, like she's usually like, if not some of the best parts of Superman TV and Superman movies and everything. So here she's present. I don't think she turns in a horrible performance, but it doesn't really do anything for me in terms of an iconic Lois Lane performance. I guess while we're throwing some compliments to this movie, I think we can all agree that maybe the best sequence of the movie is Superman's first flight. The music in this movie is fucking incredible.
It's good and then it's not. It's good and then it's overused.
I actually kind of disagree. Like I love the Hans Zimmer score. I actually think it's a shame how much they don't use it in later films. Like no matter who's scoring it, they don't utilize the Superman theme as much as I would like. Like I do think this is a good Superman theme. I like the drums. I like a lot of the music in here. So yeah.
I like the opening scene. The opening scene's pretty effective, I think.
Yeah, and I like what they did with it lore-wise. Like this idea of this society used to populate and colonize, and then they stopped, and then they ended up sort of destroying their own planet. It represents what's going on in the real world, so I like that. Like there was an understandable struggle of a revolution and how people work. Like this version of Superman is like the first natural-born Kryptonian in generations, the boy child, as Jor-El says. Like there's a lot of clearly thought out stuff involving Krypton and how it all works and how it functions as an actual society. And the fact that we have a huge long opening scene of everything that's going on there, it's at least cool to see in a movie just because we really don't get that kind of stuff. And I like the crystals from Superman 78 and the trial scene of the rings floating around Zod. That's all cool. And I like that. But I like that we don't have to do that every time. And Krypton doesn't have to be the same Krypton every single time we do it. So this was different, and I like that it was different. We should probably talk about the elephant in the room, and that's probably the Pa Kent, maybe you should have let those kids die scene. And then, of course, the tornado bit. Like, just worst Pa Kent moments ever.
But I will say, to Pa Kent, I will say, like, the one thing I will give this movie is, like, it treats Pa and Martha Kent as human beings because they're stuck in a dilemma that no human really ever gets to be in, which is you have the ability you have this child who can literally save the world in wars, literally be God, but you have to, but for the safety of, him, of his, emotional, being, you have to kind of preserve, you have to ground him. You have to kind of like downplay and make him kind of think, well, sometimes you have to make a sacrifice. So I understand the Pa and Ma Kent mentality of like and I don't think, they're very, and I think it's a good thing that they're not perfect people in this, and I think both Kevin Costner and Diane Lane, they give really good performances. Again, I really do like the first two acts of this movie, and then it all goes to shit in the third act.
So like I get the concepts, but like execution, that's everything with this movie though. Like I get the ideas behind it. Like I get why Superman, kills Zod at the end. I just don't like the execution of everything around it. And it's the same thing with like Paul Kent. It's just because, well, people will interpret this stuff as like, oh, you're just not smart enough to get how deep they're trying to humanize this character. Like, no, I get it. I'm very aware. I just don't like the execution of it. So I think, in conclusion for me, I am with Brandon. I think this movie is going to be our baseline movie for the DCEU. I think I'm going to give it a C, a flat C, where I think if you can be better than Man of Steel, then you're a pretty okay movie, I guess.
C is fair.
All right. How about you, Chris? Where do you land?
Yeah, I was thinking C.
Okay. So Man of Steel gets a C. All right. This next one that hopefully will not take the entire duration of the podcast. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. And I'm just going to set the tone. I hate this movie.
It's pretty bad. It's bad.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Where do we start with this? Because this is the second movie, and they're like, okay, we're going to do everything immediately. Haven't established dick-ass nothing. Just do it immediately. Because I think, like, theoretically, you could just do a movie with characters in it. Like, if they had just made Justice League the movie and treated every character appropriately, because, ensembles exist. Like, you didn't need a Wolverine, a Storm, a Jean Grey, or a Cyclops movie before getting an X-Men movie. Like, you can make a movie, but the way they treat this is like, oh, this is very important, so make sure to pay attention to all these little things. And we're building this intricate universe, while Warner Brothers is like, well, we want to compete with the MCU. And Zack Snyder is like, okay, well, you gave me the keys, so I get to make my own universe, right, with my own rules and regulations. And they went, sure. And then he's like, I want to play with all my toys immediately. And then they handed him a Jimmy Olsen toy, and he threw that in the microwave.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
So this, and I mean, this is crazy to say because it's only the second movie in the DCU, but this, to me, is the low point of the DCU. Like, this is kind of rock bottom. Not that this is the worst movie, but, like, this movie just did such irreparable damage to, like, what could have been, like, the DCEU. And, I think that is just the biggest problem is, like, they just went all in on their second movie with just everything. And it's like, how are we supposed to care about so many stuff? Why do we care about Superman dying? This is his second fucking appearance. And he's hardly even in the movie for like what it's worth. He's hardly a character. Batman is just a cold stone killer. So like his weight of like wanting to kill Superman is kind of lessened by that. And it's just, I don't know. There's really not much in this movie that works for me.
And that's really the thing is like, I am all up for new interpretations. I think everything can exist in its own right if you have a good enough identity. We've talked about this before. I don't need to explain myself, least of all to the listeners. So I get that. But when you do stuff like I joked earlier, you kill Jimmy Olsen and be like, well, it wasn't actually Jimmy Olsen. It was a code name. Or, oh, this isn't actually Doomsday. The real Doomsday is out there somewhere. It doesn't matter. In the world of this movie, that's Jimmy Olsen. This is Doomsday. This is Lex Luthor. These are the characters. You could do like semantics and try to boil it down to like, well, actually, no. Like, keep your nerd brain out of it and just watch it for what it's supposed to be. Like, that's what these versions of these characters are. And I don't like what they've done with these characters. Like, these characters are dumb. These characters are brutish. And I mean, these fans will say, like, oh, this movie is too smart for you. But then Batman swings Superman around on a rope and, like, smashes a sink on his head. And it's like, no, I don't think this movie is that smart. I think it's very silly and goofy at times.
So before I discuss the movie, I was curious after I saw it, like, because I'd known that the comic book Batman vs. Superman by Frank Miller was one of the most acclaimed comic books ever, so I bought it.
Yeah, Dark Knight Returns.
So I checked it out. Yeah, Dark Knight Returns. Yeah, I checked it out, and I didn't read it really. I just flipped through it. I meant to read it, I just forgot. But it was the tone was so different than the movie, and it's like it's funny to me because I know that it's like it has political commentary and all that, but
Yeah.
the movie though, it's like they're supposed to not like each other, but there's no really a reason. Like, there's no substance behind that. Because, like, in Marvel, the Iron Man versus Captain America debate is more, like, set in, like, an actual debate. Like, they actually have a disagreement over something. In this one, it's very unclear what exactly they're fighting over, if I remember correctly. It's just that Metropolis got destroyed, and it's like, okay, I mean, yeah, okay, that sucks, but it wasn't Superman's fault. He was just he was fighting the bad guys, so I don't see what...
Yeah. Like, the concepts are there. Like, what if Superman was real? Like, how would society react to it? Like, what does it mean if Batman kills? Like, what could bring him back from that darkness? Like, these are the ideas that are supposedly in the film, but they are in no way handled appropriately for you to really dwell on them. It's too much. It's just too much to do for your second movie in your franchise. Like, you could have just done one or the other. Like, you know, Lex and Superman and Doomsday, or done Batman meeting Superman and go from there. But yeah, like, throwing Wonder Woman into the mix and combining all these different plot lines, it's just a lot, and it all makes a very bad film where Superman is very sad and mopey the whole time, and Batman's a killer, and you know, we have a good Alfred at least. We continue the trend of having only good Alfreds in Batman movies, so that was good, I guess.
Mark Zuckerberg was a huge mistake, though, to cast him. I mean, terrible performance.
Oh, that's
So-
It was one of the worst parts of the movie.
Yeah, no. I mean,
not Mark Zuckerberg. That's why I was thinking of him. Well, what's his name? Jesse Eisenberg. Yeah,
Jesse Eisenberg.
Well,
Yeah.
I was thinking.
I knew what you were
I was
talking about, though.
Well, my thought with that was that are they trying to make a reference to Mark Zuckerberg? That's why I said that accidentally. I'm tired. Yeah, that's what happens when you're tired. But no, so like I wondered if are they trying to make a reference to like the Social Network? It's like, yeah, Lex Luthor would be a social media like kind of guy if he existed now. I don't know. It was odd casting as Lex Luthor, but
Well, yeah, no, I agree. I've never been a fan of Mark Zuckerberg, but mostly not because of Eisenberg's performance. It's mostly just because of how he's written, and because here's the thing. In 2016, if you would have told me in 2016, like, you know, an evil billionaire would, regardless of age, who acts crazy and acts like he deserves to be in a mental institution, can somehow convince, you know, entire groups of like senators and House of Representatives to do it, you know, insane shit. You know, I would have told you that's insane. That's an insane plot line. Well, unfortunately, we're in 2025. But either way, so my thoughts on Batman v Superman is I agree the theatrical cut of this movie really is terrible. Like, it absolutely should be banned. Like, they should never have released this cut of the movie, because the problem with this cut of the movie is it cuts all the important information you need for the audience in service of keeping the most expensive scenes, which are the nightmare scenes, the Batman and Superman fight, how the Capitol Hill blowing up. Like, you kept the scenes that really don't matter to the plot in service of, cutting the stuff that actually is important and stuff that actually, gives you plot details and character development. So, I mean, so to me, like, that's the reason why the theatrical cut is so bad. But the problem with and I do love the 3-hour cut more, because it is kind of like if you just kept everything. But when you make a movie, you should obviously get rid of the stuff you don't need. I mean, there's always, brevity is the soul of wit, that sort of quote. So to me, I think Batman v Superman would have been a much better film if they had cut the nightmare sequence.
Sure.
Maybe introduce Diana. Just introduce Diana. You don't have to have Wonder Woman at the third act. Just kind of be like, here's Diana. Maybe she'll be, kind of like how they have a little that Scarlet Witch, or not Scarlet Witch, Scarlett Johansson in Iron Man 2. Like, you don't have
okay.
You don't have to have like everyone like Wonder Woman. Just like be like, okay, like this is gonna set the seeds. Like literally plant seeds, not like what all these cinematic universes do is they try to plant like actual fruit in place of seeds. If my metaphor makes sense.
Sure.
Like they're trying so hard. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I remember when the Ultimate Cut came out, and look, the Ultimate Cut is technically better, but who cares? Like, in the plot of the movie, there's a point in which they try to blame Superman for killing a bunch of people, but it's only in the Ultimate Cut that we see that the terrorists got a bunch of corpses and like set them on fire with a blowtorch. So their gimmick is that they all have that person who's like a fake eyewitness, and she's claiming that Superman heat visioned all those people to death. But in the theatrical cut, it's just people got shot, and then Lois Lane is like, who made the bullets? Was it the bad guy? And it's like, do people think that Superman AK'd a bunch of people? Like, what's going on there?
Why would Superman need a gun?
Hey, God shoots people sometimes. And on that note, this is also the one where the Jesus metaphors just go to the moon and back. Like, I know in Man of Steel he does at least 2 Christ airs, but did we really need to see the almost literal Lance of Longinus in this movie?
Yeah. And I agree. The stuff at the end when Superman dies is so like it's just so like it just happens. And it just
Right.
And it's treated as like this like big moment, and it's like, but you've done nothing to set up anything. Like and what's even worse is they do all of the stuff that you would do to set up Superman right after his death. Like you see that Lois was going to get a ring, and the idea that Clark was going to propose. Like you see all the stuff afterwards. Like you do. Like it's just like, no, you do this beforehand, so you have the audience care.
Right, and like Superman and Christ is nothing new. Like Superman Returns did it, Smallville even does it, but everything about this is just so blatant and it's just so in your face while pretending to be nuanced. Like it's somehow both dour and sad, but also big and dumb, which I think is kind of incredible. Like usually it's one or the other. Like you're either loud and dumb and schlocky like X-Men Origins Wolverine. Like that's a schlock movie. Like it's not going to be smart and arty, but it's somehow both those things and none of those things. It's a bit of a conundrum, honestly.
Yeah. I will say I do, like, in hindsight, I do wish Ben Affleck... Again, like, the problem with these movies, with this, Justice League, all of this entire Snyder run is, like, you could see the potential of, like, an older Affleck Batman, or you can see the potential of... We get to see Wonder Woman and Aquaman kind of have a more fleshed out arcs in their subsequent movies, but you kind of... Watching this in the Snyder Cut... Justice League, you kind of get the sense of, man, it would have been so nice if like we got to see more of these characters in their arcs, and especially with other directors, so especially given like they really were shooting for the moon for like certain filmmakers to join, so so yeah, overall this is a disappointing. I do disagree with Chris though. This isn't the lowest point yet. This isn't the point where it all went, to absolute shit.
We're getting there, though. We're getting there.
But Chris, you're on to something, though. So,
anyways, like to your point, Kale, like especially when you hear some of the ideas that Snyder had and what the future was going to hold, like he was really trying to streamline the Batman experience into its tail end sort of story. Because I mean, we'll get into the next one, but I guess future media would make this dead Robin that we see, because that was like in the trailer and everything, the Robin suit's got Joker's signature. Like as a fan, you're like, oh, it's Jason Todd, right? Like that's the Robin that we know that dies and stuff. But according to Snyder, and it makes sense as a movie thing, that's Dick Grayson. He had a Robin died, and he never had another Robin afterwards. And it's like, okay, that makes more sense in terms of a streamlined movie, right? Is it not a little weird for him to keep endangering all these youngsters, and then eventually this Batman would have done the Justice League stuff and then eventually sacrificed himself for the greater good and had Carrie Kelly beat Robin and go on and do whatever. Like, I don't really know what the full plan was there, but there were plans to have this be the sort of later year story of a Batman that redeems himself after losing the faith, I guess you could say. But this movie just doesn't do enough to really dig into any of those ideas, and it just makes them kind of uninteresting. And look, I was a big supporter of Ben Affleck as Batman, honestly, like before the movie came out and when he was cast. And now I don't think I ever need to see him in a Bat costume again. And, you know, he's going through some stuff right now. Like, he's setting a world record for divorces and breakups of famous women. Like, just
and then rekindling, rekindling their relationship.
Sure, just let him rest. Duncan is flying their flags at half-mast right now, so let's just let him rest.
Mm-hmm. He's a good director, though.
And setting a record for Dunkin' Donuts orders, too.
There we go. Yes. So for this grade, I'm going to say D minus because we need room to fall. Like, there's another film almost immediately after this that's worse.
I would say I don't think here's how I'm going to grade this. F for the theatrical cut.
Okay.
And then because I really don't find any value in it at all. And then a B for the ultimate cut. So I guess a C would be the average.
I'm not going to let you go that high.
Well,
I'm not either. I'm going a D.
Yes. How about you,
Yeah,
Brandon?
D with me as well. Yeah.
All right. Here, how about this? We'll each give it a minus. So it'll be in our tier list. It'll be D minus. One minus from each of us.
I will say the action scene near the end with Batman, just killing people, by the way. I mean, it's just brutal, but it is very well filmed. I mean, it's
sure.
Yeah.
In the warehouse.
That's the only good thing about the movie. When I saw that in theaters, I'm like, okay, that scene was good. Like, the rest, not at all. Like, it's kind of odd, actually.
I know. It was so good they put it in the trailer.
Yeah. All right. Well, I alluded to this. There's a worse movie. Here it is, in my opinion. Suicide Squad, the 2016 one. David Ayer's Suicide Squad, not to be confused with the James Gunn one, the David Ayer, or allegedly David Ayer one. Look, you could release the Ayer cut, but I say I've seen these characters in this movie, and there's no way you can fix any of them. You don't fix Jared Leto Joker. We see Jared Leto's Joker in a future film, and he was worse than that, in my opinion. So, no, there's no saving this.
So, Alex, pretend that it's on trial. And that you're the prosecutor. You're trying to get a guilty verdict, and I'm like the jury. Because I'm in between. I don't really like it that much, but I don't hate it. Pretend that it's guilty, or are you trying
okay. Well, this movie is guilty.
Yeah.
So this movie sucks on every level. Like, on the most technical of technical levels, it is shit. It has ruined so many things and so many people's lives. And Chris, back me up on this. How bad is this?
Okay, so from an editing standpoint, this is like the most embarrassing piece of shit you'll ever watch. There's just so many weird choices and like character introductions and then reintroductions like halfway through. Like, it's just so bizarre.
And how embarrassing is it that the cast all got matching tattoos for this movie? Did you guys know that?
Oh man,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
They all got matching. Now, the real question is, how many of them do you think have had it removed since then? Because like the core Avengers cast, like for Endgame, they all got matching tattoos. The six of them. It's the Avengers logo with the number 6, and it's all got their logos in it. I think Mark Ruffalo chickened out. I think he's the only one that didn't get the tattoo. But that's the culmination of 10 plus years of storytelling. That's when you get a tattoo. Or, like, I believe the Fellowship of the Ring all have matching tattoos. Now, granted, their time filming those movies was shorter than the 10 years, but still, like, the Lord of the Rings movies were just big cinematic events that, okay, that's when you get a tattoo. But this one shitty movie, like, I don't believe it. Will Smith has a Suicide Squad tattoo. He doesn't have a Bad Boys tattoo. He doesn't have an iRobot tattoo. He's got a Suicide Squad tattoo. It's unbelievable.
So I guess I'm still confused by
Yeah.
so okay. I get the I mean, okay, compared to James Gunn's masterpiece, which we're going to talk about later,
Yeah.
it is bad in comparison to that, obviously. But if ignoring that movie though, before it came out, is like the cynicism have to do with like it trying to imitate Guardians of the Galaxy with the music and kind of the tone? Is that
Yes, because I
okay?
cannot believe just how many like needle drops there are in the span of like 30 seconds. It's
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
absolutely insane.
but it's like mediocre to me. It's not like awful though. I mean, it's not an awful
I
movie. Like,
think it
Kale, what do you think?
is.
You feel that way too, or
I think it is. I think like the original cut of the movie might have been watchable, but then they just re-edited it down to shit, like absolute horse shit. So I don't know. I don't see any faith in this movie.
All right, Kale, what do you think of this movie?
So I first saw this at an early screening in Atlanta, and I actually really liked it walking out. Like I was like, oh, they found it. They got it. They figured it out. Like they actually were like they actually added humor into it. Like I kind of was laughing at certain points. It isn't, and the best way I described it to people was it's like if cocaine made a movie. Like because the movie is so like just batshit insane. It's so crazy that because nothing makes sense. Like nothing in this movie, even back when I saw it, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But it is just so insane, and it does fall into the same script, you know, patterns that. And that's the only thing I found disappointing about the movie at the time was it is that it falls into the script pattern of, well, we have to have Amanda Waller show up, and be like, okay, everybody go back into prison, even though Deadshot has a gun and could just shoot the phone or just shoot Amanda Waller in the head before she even does anything. Like that, but that's what we're working with here. It's like everyone is very capable of making their situation better at that moment, but they just don't do it because the script said so. Um, and that's kind of, and even in every subsequent rewatch of this, it's gotten worse. And then I finally watched the extended cut when it was on Amazon Prime at one point, and I was just like, this is not this movie doesn't get any better no matter what you add or take away. Like it actually makes it feel longer. Like actually John Gilroy's, I guess, edited version, or he's just one of the credited, he's the only credited editor of this. But like his cut of this is like the best one, the theatrical one, just of the two, because it actually just feels like it's just moving and moving, But yeah, I don't really see a lot of redeeming qualities of it. I mean, I do think Stephen Price's music has some good moments, but but I'm always annoyed by the character of Amanda Waller anyway, so nothing against Viola Davis. But I think her character, again, it's insane how naive I was in 2016 that some crazy person could convince the entire government to do insane shit.
Right.
It's insane how naive I was at 22.
Well,
but still, like but yeah, that's the problem is that Viola Davis can just walk in and be like, I have a witch. And she's going to go through walls and steal government secrets because I have her heart, so I'm like, how is that not going to backfire at all?
I think if there's one bright spot to this movie is the casting of Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Now, in this movie, I don't think there's anything worthwhile, but I think, well, at least in one movie out of all of this, we got a good performance out of her in The Suicide Squad. But to be fair, she's had her career grow quite a bit thanks to this Harley Quinn role. So that's one thing I will give it. But that's probably the only thing I'm going to give it any praise.
Margot Robbie is an interesting actress because she like catapults from The Wolf of Wall Street, and she gets this, and then like she becomes like a movie producer star. And really, to me, I think her best work as an actress so far is maybe Barbie. Like that's maybe her best work.
Seriously?
Yeah, because like in Babylon, she's like this. She's basically Harley Quinn, just like toned down, and I didn't see Amsterdam, and
I did
I
see Amsterdam.
I cannot remember a lot of other Harley. I can't remember a lot of other movies. I mean, she is good in James Gunn's Suicide Squad, and I think she does make a good fit in Gunn's like kind of B movie, like you know, Tromo universe style. Like I think she does a really good job in that.
Mhm.
But I'm really struggling to find other good Margot Robbie performances, like or anything like memorable besides the ones I've mentioned.
Sure. This movie also made Will Smith boring, which I think is a crime.
Well, because he's not the main character.
Sure, but I mean, like you get Will Smith, right? And like you think of like OG Will Smith, like when we were kids, like you think of how much personality and drive he had in his movies. And Deadshot is one of those characters that where you can do whatever. He's pretty much a blank slate for the most part. And people can argue, well, look at all this stuff from the comics. Then how come every adaptation I've seen of this guy has been completely different from the last? Like he's got a red eye, he's got guns on his arms. That's the character. That's all you need. So for this, they do keep those simple elements, like he's got a daughter, he has guns, the eye thing, and that's it. Like this movie made him boring. You know what? I'll give one other praise for this movie. That's Captain Boomerang. He has one of the few gags in the movie that got a genuine laugh out of me, and that's the bit where they go into the bar and Rick Flag is like, all right, I disabled all the bombs. You can leave if you want to. And it's at that moment in the movie where all the characters now band together and they don't leave, but he fucking bolts immediately.
He grabs all the beer and leave.
Yeah, he comes back, which is kind of a bummer. I wish he had just left and just never came back in the movie. But he is really just a sort of like a bogan Australian, and he's funny. And I think that's great that we have a character like that in the movie. But other than that, I'm giving this an F in the trash.
Yeah, I'm there too.
Well, I'll just give it a D. I'll be
Okay.
nice.
How about you, Brandon?
I'd give it a C, honestly. The thing with it is that I went in the theater with my expectations as low as possible because I knew about the torches and pitchforks. So in that way, it's like it didn't meet it was above my expectations in that regard when I saw it. I mean, I watched it one more time before the new one came out, James Gunn, and I'm like, yeah, it's mediocre. I mean, C minus, I guess. I don't know. It's a pretty straightforward story. I just think that's not a. I mean, I will say that if it's not going to be rated R, then it will be Hot Topic the movie. That's what.
Yeah,
that's what's annoying. That is what's annoying about it, and so I get that complaint totally. But that's just what you're getting when you go into a movie about villains and it's PG-13.
Yeah.
So
I guess we'll all meet in the middle and say F+. How about that?
Yeah, I don't really care. It's fine.
All right. We'll take a slight detour from the DCEU, talk about a movie I believe all of us have seen, and that is the Lego Batman movie.
I forgot about this one. Yeah.
The best movie out of this bunch. Probably.
I wanted to.
Is it though?
This is one of the worst ones. I didn't know this was actually going to be on there.
Surprise.
Hated it. Yeah.
I mean, look, I love the Lego movie. I think it's a great fucking movie. And I'll admit, I was apprehensive at this movie just from the get-go because it's like, I like Will Arnett's Batman in the Lego movie. I think he's funny. I don't know if I need him for a whole movie. And yeah, this just wasn't for me. I didn't like this very much. How about you, Chris?
You know, the opening is great.
Sure, yeah.
That kind of keeps the same charm and spirit of like the Lego movie in a Batman setting. And then I think like just after that, like it's just rinse and repeat. Just the biggest thing is that Lego Batman as a character is the most insufferable piece of shit ever in this movie. Like he is so fucking annoying and just like I get what they're trying to do. They're doing just the kiddie version of like exploring Batman and Joker's relationship, and which is fine, but like I don't know. This really just doesn't do it.
I hear people love this movie though.
Yeah, no, like I know plenty of people that like think this is one of, if not the best iterations of Batman in film, which is laughable to me. But
so what I'll say is I never laughed at any of the jokes. Didn't find it funny. The theater I was in was filled with kids who were laughing, so that really ruined the experience. But I just didn't get the point of it. I didn't laugh at any of it. So.
All right, Kale.
Oh, I
What
love
can you
this
say?
movie. This is
Okay.
like, so for me, I wasn't quite sure what to expect, and this was the time where I actually got to a lot of early Warner Brothers screenings for some reason. I don't know why. But like, so I saw this like a week ahead of everyone. But I really was like, but I was watching it in Atlanta and early morning, and I was like, this is so good. Like, this is really like like you talk about the opening. Like the opening is very well set up. The jokes are all there of like, Lego or Batman in universe. And I kind of really vibe that, they kind of made a kids movie, because the thing about Batman at this point in post Nolan is that it has been all serious and all like, we can't like laugh at Batman or have any kind of like levity with Batman. It's always got to be serious. And Lord and Miller, and then all the people, Chris McKay, all the people that worked on this movie, they found a way to make a Batman movie that has a lot of levity, a lot of heart, and also tell a story of where it's like, oh yeah, Batman as a character still grieving his parents. Even after multiple decades of grieving, he's still, like that first scene where he has in front of it, the painting, just like talking to his dead parents. It's both funny, but also this like surreal idea of, oh, this is the journey this character has to go on, is like he has to be able to create a Bat family. And what I will say in this movie is they give Batman his Bat family with not Catwoman, Batgirl, Robin, Alfred even gets a bat suit. Like, I mean, it's genuinely cool. Also, again, continuing the trend of good Alfreds, Ralph Fiennes really is a good Alfred in voice. Like, it's
Sure.
just like he just has the perfect, like, it's just like the perfect English accent, perfect, like, perfect sub duty. And like, it's great that character just leaves Batman and Robin in jail. Just like, you got yourself in this mess, I'm going to let Commissioner Gordon, and his daughter take care of you.
Stay tuned for our tier list of all the Alfreds, where we give them all S's.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, and I even like the use of the Joker. I kind of even, it's one of the even like the best. Like, I know everyone's now like worried that Avengers Secret Wars is just going to be Disney just like throwing all the cameos at everybody. But this is actually the movie that does it and actually utilizes it in a way that's actually like, okay, that's actually kind of cool that they have Voldemort and all these characters, but they're not like, given like important character dialogue. They're just there to represent like the Lego universe.
Hang on, I forgot. Was Voldemort actually in the Lego Batman movie?
Yeah, it's Voldemort,
and it's not Ray Fiennes.
It's not Ray Fiennes though. That's so bizarre.
But they
Who made that decision?
But they have Two-Face played by Billy Dee Williams.
That is true. That is cool, and I like that.
And it's Catwoman is Zoe Kravitz in this movie.
That's insane that she got this first and then played Catwoman later on in the Batman.
Matt Reeves recognizes game. Like,
that's true.
Game recognizes game.
There's a Suicide Squad joke in this movie where Killer Croc's like, "I did something."
I guess if I had to come up with a reason for why I don't like it, it has to do with okay, so this movie and Barbie, they're like trying to deconstruct the characters or the concept.
Yeah.
And the jokes just aren't funny to me. I just don't find that to be interesting.
That's that's pretty much where I land.
Batman and Barbie are characters for 100 years, whatever, 50 over 100 years. There's patterns over time. They're not, deconstruct them isn't really that funny. It's like, it's just what, I don't know. It's just not for me.
I'll be generous and give this movie a C.
I think that's where I'm at too.
Okay.
So is an S the same as an A, or are they different?
Well, S is like a step above A. It's above. It's like the best.
Superior,
the best.
if you will.
Yes.
Where
do you land, Kale?
I'll give it an A+. I don't know if I want to give it an S. No, I love this movie. Like, I genuinely,
That's fine. You can love
own
it.
The movie. Lego Batman movie's really good. It just never reaches the height of Lego Movie, and it doesn't reach the height. But it's one of the only high points in this franchise, because again, Warner Brothers messed up. They should have done a Lego Movie 2 instead of prioritizing this first.
Brandon, what's your grade on this one?
I'll give it a D-, not an F, because it made me want to rewatch Jerry Maguire again. It has a very brief moment where he's like, oh yeah, I need to watch that again. It's a great movie.
Sure.
So,
I guess between
completely-
all that, we'll say C+. We'll go with C+.
Sure,
I'm sorry,
that's pretty
Kale,
low,
sure.
but that's very low, but sure.
Hey, look, C is it's a passing grade technically. Like C's get degrees, so.
That's
All
fair.
right. All right, let's go back to DCEU. Wonder Woman. that fucking theme, like that's that Spy Kids ass music. Like I've heard that music performed live by Hans Zimmer, and that's a wild experience because I do not like that song. Like it sounds really goofy for Wonder Woman of all characters. It just feels weird. Like okay.
So I didn't like this one. Do you guys like? Everyone seems to like this one somewhat. I didn't like it.
There's things I like about it, but I think I think the universal complaint I would think is the final act is where this movie falls apart because I think there's quite a bit of good in this movie. I like the Diana sort of experiencing the world and the fish out of water stuff, and I like her and Chris Pine, Steve Trevor. Like I like that stuff, but everything else I don't really like.
I think, I mean, yeah, the final act is where this movie loses me. But I think for the most part, like, I don't really have too many complaints up to that point. And I think the context of this movie matters considering, like, just what we had before it. And, you know, this definitely kind of, it raised the bar a little bit for, like, what to kind of expect for DC in terms of trying to be more grounded, and then you kind of go fucking crazy in the end, but you know, for what it is, I think it's fine.
I want to know the filming schedules of this in Justice League because I feel like she's better in this than she is in Justice League, and maybe that's the director. I don't know, but here she feels more like Wonder Woman.
Terrible actress. Like I mean,
and she may not be a great person. Is she soft canceled? Can we say her name? We'll say it quietly. Gal Gadot.
It's Gadot. But
Gal Gadot.
Yeah, so to clarify, I actually do know the filming schedules because I know they had to, because they had to create a preview for it in front of BVS, like a rushed, like while they were filming it. So they filmed it from November to May.
Okay.
In November 2016 to April or May 2017, and then of course Justice League started filming in April of 2017.
Okay.
So. But yeah, no, I do really like the movie. I don't have many complaints about my only kind of quibble or thing I would like add, and I get that the movie's already 2 hours and 20 minutes long, is that, you know, maybe have Diana have more stuff with her in the real world, because that stuff is more fun. And also it builds her character, because the whole kind of idea for Wonder Woman or her arc is understanding humanity, understanding that it's not a black and white, you know, like humanity's not black and white. It's all like, you know, there's all kinds of hatred in love. And, you know, there's like because the end of her arc is her learning that humanity is capable of both destroying itself and saving itself. And her arc as a hero is to learn that she has to be able to give humanity the chance to do the right thing and the wrong thing at the same time, you know, in hopes that they do the right thing. So that's why like she has her whole speech with Ares, and it's like, they don't deserve it. It's not about what they deserve. It's what they are capable of. And I really do like that as like the core idea of the movie. And it did take me a long time to really kind of sink that in, because, you know, mid-20s or early 20s me was cynical Ares, like no Ares had it right. You know, like, you know, especially after post 2016. So sure. I would, you know, but I really do kind of like the movie now. And controversial hot take, I kind of like both Patty Jenkins Wonder Woman movies, but but I will say Gal Gadot is very bad as an actress, and I think the only director to get a solid performance out of her is maybe Zack Snyder, Like that's the only director who can, because I feel like Patty Jenkins, unfortunately, like I get it, they're now BFFs, Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot, but
Sure.
I feel like she kind of got done dirty with being left with her, because she really is like, she's physically she physically meets the part, but she's like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Conan era, like level acting. Like she's still like learning how to read lines.
Sure.
Like
it
level,
just my thing with this movie is that it just feels like it's 7 years too late. Like if this had come out alongside like Thor and the first Avenger and Green Lantern, it'd be like, oh, that was pretty good considering the lineup that year. But we're in 2017, and you look at the other films that came out that year, like Guardians 2 and Thor Ragnarok, which I know people soured on
Logan.
and Logan, yeah. But at the time for Thor Ragnarok, that was a big breath of fresh air for the Thor character. So like everything about DC has always felt like they're just years and years behind. Like that's what this felt like to me. It felt like a superhero film that should have come out like half a decade before it did.
That's how I feel for like so many like, female-led superhero movies, where it's like, I'm so glad you're here, but you are running so far behind, unfortunately.
Yeah. I will say there's a part where Stryker from Origins Wolverine and Dr. Poison chuck a poison bomb into a room, and they close the door and giggle. Like they lean full Dr. Evil for a second. Like I was really taken aback like by it. It was just so goofy compared to everything else. But
it's such a Richard Donner moment. Like
I don't have a problem with it. It was just funny.
So this is actually really similar to Captain America: The First Avenger, if you think about it. But that though makes sense because it's World War II, and so he's kind of a propaganda hero who becomes an actual hero. World War I's a terrible idea to set this for the setting of the movie. And I don't understand why the trench scene is supposed to be good, because she's not in danger at all. Like never once is she in danger in the whole movie, besides maybe the end, I guess. But it's like I don't understand the point of the character and why she's fighting World War I, and what's that supposed to be a commentary on.
I will say though, the No Man's Land sequence is probably the highlight of the movie for me. I think that is, to me, that is Wonder Woman's like version of Man of Steel's first flight, where we can point to and say, yeah, this is the good section of the movie. Like to me, this movie is like vanilla ice cream with one topping, just one. It's one chocolate chip, just exactly one chocolate chip, and that chocolate chip to me is the No Man's Land sequence.
See, I thought it was terrible. Not as bad as the sequel, but we'll get to that later.
Sure. For this, I will give this a C, a flat C.
Probably C for me too, I guess. It's not the worst one on the list, but
Chris,
C minus.
Where do you land?
I think I might go like a B minus on this one.
Okay.
Just because I think the context of the DCU matters, just where we were at that point.
Sure. I disagree. And Kale?
I'll go B plus.
All right. I guess we'll say C plus. We'll say C plus. Another C. Okay. All right. Next up, Justice League. Specifically the original theatrical cut. We'll discuss Snyder cut later, but for now, let's talk about Justice League. This is awful.
Exhausting to watch.
Yeah. I guess where we should probably talk about Joss Whedon. This is probably the time to do it. So Zack Snyder, like it should be evident at this point that I'm not a Zack Snyder defender, but I am a defender of filmmakers getting to release the films that they wanted to make. And Snyder stepped away from this film for very personal, tragic reasons that we don't need to get into. But the fact that Warner Brothers used that to completely retool this movie, they get Joss Whedon, who he's a hack, right? Like we all know he's a big piece of shit at this point.
Yeah. But at that time I'll say this, I definitely was on this movie's not going to be good the moment they hired Joss Whedon, just because you can't like just change a filmmaker, mid-production or mid-post-production and make it better. You can make it maybe salvageable,
Especially like that sharp a contrast from Zack Snyder to Joss Whedon.
Yeah, like at that point, you should have just hired like a TV director or
Hmm.
like Alan Taylor or something. Like you should have just
Yeah.
hired someone who could come in, because that's exactly what happened with Superman 2 is they just hired. I mean, Richard Lester was not a TV director, but Richard Lester was like a journeyman director who could come in, kind of keep up with the style of Donner, and and just do a good enough job to where nobody notices. And that's what you needed for the Justice League if you had to replace Zack Snyder. But yeah, but Joss Whedon was the worst choice. And also it just reeks of desperation, because it's like, we want so badly to get the guy who made the Avengers work,
Yeah.
make our movie work. So let's get him to do it. And
then they did it again with James Gunn. Like, hey, our Guardians ripoff sucked. Let's get the guy that actually did Guardians. But that one actually worked.
And it worked.
but
Yeah.
Gunn did not come in to basically rework Ayer's movie. He just made his own movie.
Yeah.
So and that's exactly how it should be.
Yeah. But back to Joss. Look, I think it's okay to say that he wrote good things in the past and you could be a fan of his early work. It's just that he's a bad person. Like I can't say that. I don't think it's a case of he completely goofed his way through Hollywood. He's just a dumb fucking idiot that sucks now. So fuck him. And part of it comes from the fact that he was like a pretty big SJW. Like he made that comment about the Jurassic World scene before the movie came out, talking about how it was like old school sexism on display in a film. And it was very much protesting too much because he was a woke person in the pre-Trump era, if you will. So then when news comes out of his wrongdoings for years and years at a time, it's like, okay, so you were a person that took advantage of people and you're awful. And it turns out that is just a bigger part than anything that he could possibly do with the movie. Because I think if he had time, he could have made a good Justice League film. But here, he was so high off his own ass about who he was in Hollywood. He was a big shot producer on the Marvel stuff. So I think he was just so sure of like, if anyone can make this movie, it's me. I don't need any of you to tell me what to do. And the poor Justice League cast, like Ray Fisher and whatnot, took the brunt of all that abuse. And, I'm not here to say what is and isn't happened. I wasn't there. We still don't know. Like that, there's been so many claims and so many things. And I wish there would just be a clear-cut answer to it, but it does sound like it was a rough time. And this guy that had the biggest head in Hollywood, that big fucking potato head of his.
I mean, he does have a big head,
Exactly. It was just a bad time for everyone.
Well, does anybody else want to, before I go on, does anyone else have any comments on this before I go on?
I actually didn't know about the accusations, or I'm reading about it right now on Wikipedia.
Yeah. Oh, that's a whole rabbit hole you're going to go down. Like Ray Fisher in particular. I mean,
I just knew he was very into like nerd culture. He was like the representative of that kind of like echo chamber of, like, there was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Avengers. Firefly was the. I just knew about that. But
I mean, there's a reason why Honest Trailers for the Avengers, they proclaim Joss Whedon as the god of the nerds. So yeah.
But I mean, like Ray Fisher, like, I mean, we'll discuss Snyder Cut later, but I mean, in this movie, like, I thought characterization-wise, I was happy with Ray Fisher Cyborg. Like, I mean, Cyborg on the League has been such a conversation ever since he joined in 2011. So, but that's a different topic. But as someone who enjoys the Marv Wolfman version of the character from the 80s, like back when he was on the Teen Titans, he was a very angsty, angry, kind of stereotypical sort of angry black man character for the time. But he was a character that had a reason to be upset, and that was present in this film, as little as it was. So I do like Ray Fisher as Cyborg. I don't like his design, sadly. He's just a crushed up tinfoil man. But as a character, until the obvious rewrites and the reshoots and all of that comes in, he's fine. I don't know if anyone has any comments on Cyborg.
Just kind of fine, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie is bad in a way that's not memorable. Like, that's... I mean, like, Batman v Super... not v Superman. That one, too. I mean, that's bad in a way, like... about to say the same. The scene where Lex Luthor offers the guy a Jolly Rancher. It's just weird. It's bad in a weird kind of way, you know.
Right.
But this one is just bad and like a very stale, very just has no. The characters have no charisma. There's no. I mean, the plot line. I can barely remember the villains in these movies. Like,
Sure.
I mean, the Superman is Doomsday,
Mhm.
and then this one is Steppenwolf, right?
Yeah, it is Steppenwolf.
Kieran
Yeah.
Hines, Steppenwolf.
But they never played Born to Be Wild on the soundtrack, so they missed that opportunity.
Ah.
That's saved for a different movie down the line. So
Yeah.
Mm.
Also, we'll get to this when we do the cut, the director's cut. I can't remember the differences exactly. I know that the other one's much longer and it's
Yeah.
more bloated, but I can't remember what was cut in what the original was actually like. I remember just thinking it was bad though when I saw it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Been
could
too
talk
long.
about that, but I mean, in terms of the other characters, I mean, Aquaman. I mean, I guess we'll get more into him when we talk about his solo film, which is very soon. But in terms of this film, I mean, there's just not enough time to give anyone characterization, and then soon we learned that like everything that was possible was left on the cutting room floor, whether it's Cyborg or Flash or Aquaman. Like they get nothing in this version. No one does. It's all shit. Do you guys remember when they released the first image of Jason Momoa as Aquaman? He had that character poster, and it said his tagline was "Unite the Seven." And in neither Justice League film, we got 7 members of the Justice League. So at the time, we were like, "Oh, unite the 7, like the 7 Justice League members," or oh, it's Aquaman. Is it the 7 Seas? And Warner Brothers just never told us what that meant.
I mean, that was
kind
their
of Loki reference to the boys too.
and interestingly enough, like they ran that line all the way up until the final trailer up in July, where it's like all 7 are united or whatever with the tagline, and it's like
we never got 7.
I want to say it had to have been Green Lantern, but they just or Martian Manhunter, but they just could never figure out how to like integrate either of those into the movie.
Sure.
In a meaningful way. But yeah, I don't... This movie, this theatrical cut is so bad. I mean, you have the Russian family, you have you have the whole... I mean, all the effects look terrible. I mean, not even going to the, Superman, like, face replacement.
Release the mustache cut. How about that? I want to see that.
Ooh, that would be cool. Even though it would mean that, there would be different shots of just Henry Cavill's mustache going in and out. Like, but no,
this is an F. I'm going to jump the gun. This is an F.
Yeah.
And before I give my grade, like the reason
Sure.
why I say this was the moment where everything dropped is because this is where I feel like the DCEU died. It just took like 6 years for it to finally die because they tried so hard to like do different things. Like I give Walter Hamada, who would take over this franchise after this, like I give him credit for being like, we're going to do different kinds of movies. We're going to do director-led movies. Like I understand like his style and what his command was. And I understand we got a lot of great stuff after this. The problem was, but it kept putting the DCEU in a weird position because where are the other characters? Where are the Flash? Where are Cyborg? Where are these other, where's Ben Affleck's Batman? Like it kept putting, or Henry Cavill's Superman. Superman's supposed to be like the flagship leader of the DC, of just anything DC, and he's like nowhere to be found in the rest of the DCEU. So like, so that became like a huge problem that meant that the franchise was on fumes, and it just kept being on fumes for 6 years. So yeah.
All right.
It's
what
an
is
F
your
for
grade?
me. Oh,
F.
F.
All right, Brandon. Do you
F.
like it? F?
No. F. Yeah.
All right. It is going in the trash. All right. Next up, another deviation from the DCU, just a slight detour. That the movie that I believe only Kale has seen, and I mean like literally Kale, you're the only person in the world who has seen this movie, and that is Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
We finally
All right.
come across a movie I've only seen.
All
other
right,
than
lay it
Swamp
on
Thing
us.
2. It's fine. I mean, it's basically if the Lego Batman 2 was just Robin having his own identity crisis. I will say there are some good jokes in there. Like they're trying, like they're in the middle of watching the new Batman movie, the entire Teen Titans crew, and they're like watching previews for upcoming DC movies, and they're like, yes, yes. Like Robin's getting really excited during one because he thinks he's finally getting his own spin-off movie, and then it just is Alfred. Alfred gets his own spin-off movie, Pennyworth coming this summer or whatever. And there's a Stanley cameo for no reason.
I do know that. That's the only thing I knew about this movie. That's the extent of my knowledge.
Nick Cage does come in as Superman, like he voices the Superman.
Oh, of course he does.
Because the other thing that we don't talk about during this podcast, because it technically is not a DC movie, is like John Schnepp did a whole documentary on Tim Burton's Superman Lives.
Yes, that is a brilliant documentary.
It is a great documentary, and because of that, it's kind of created this it's opened this Pandora box to now where fans are gonna get like cameos of Nick Cage's Superman in random movies.
Mm-hmm.
Even if like there is a whole subset of people that have no idea of, like what the reference is for.
Sure.
So
I guess
yeah.
what I'll say about this movie real quick, even I've come around on Teen Titans Go. I don't watch the show. I've honestly never seen a full episode of it, but at the time it was just loud and obnoxious, and it's like this is what you've done to the Teen Titans. How dare you? But I've seen clips and I've seen jokes where it's like, man, these guys love DC. Like the amount of times I see that clip of them like having to go back in time and fix the DC continuity, and they push the Waynes into the alley so they can get shot. Like I've seen that clip so many times, and it makes me laugh every time. Like the idea that the Teen Titans having to kill Bruce Wayne's parents in front of his eyes, like it's like, wow, that's great. They're not taking it seriously whatsoever. That being said, I never saw this movie, so Kale, where is this going?
I barely remember it, and actually that was a good bit where they did their own like flashpoint. But I mean, we'll just give it a C because I barely remember it, and I don't have like the fondest of memories. So again, my eyeballs have seen it. I just don't remember too much about it.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's get back to the DCEU. We're talking Aquaman. I like this movie.
A really good movie. A really, really genuinely good movie. James Wan figured it out.
I don't know if I go that far to say it's a really, really good movie, but it's a funny, fun little adventure film. Like it kind of reminds me of like a Disney film. Like there's royalty and it's two characters that don't like each other very much, but they're going to go on an adventure together and fall in love, and there's monsters and crazy stuff. And like you were saying, like I like that it's James Wan doing whatever he wants. Like it really does feel like he got to really hold the reins on this one, which does beg the question of like, when was James Wan's Aquaman involved in the rest of this universe? Because sometimes Snyder fans will try to lump this in as like a W for the Snyderverse because it has the biggest box office of any of these movies. It made $1 billion worldwide, which is insane. But in terms of a Snyder film, this is everything that those films weren't. Like it's neon, technicolor, goofy silliness. Aquaman is making jokes about peeing on stuff, and it's so ridiculous. Like there's a big Lord of the Rings fight with crab people at the end. Like all this shit.
It's so cool.
Like it's so wacky that I have to wonder when they were when were they making this movie? Like when was James Wan like, oh, I want to make a crazy movie, mate. Like we're gonna do something wild. It's gonna be scary and funny and stupid and dopey and sneezy and all this stuff. Like it's gonna be whack. So I like that about it.
Well, I think Snyder was trying, because when he was like the head of the ship at one point,
yeah,
he was trying to let like Patty Jenkins, David Ayer, and James Wan, and at the time, Rick Famuyiwa for The Flash, like he was trying to allow like those directors kind of have carte blanche, for their visions. Unfortunately, Rick Famuyiwa did not, get that same, regard for when he was making The Flash. That's why he left before he started filming. But I mean, James Wan, I almost said James Gunn, but James Wan like got like full carte blanche and actually got full support, and he kind of had his, and he kind of had luck kind of be on his side because he was already friends with Walter Hamada, who was the guy coming in, after James or Jeff Johns and whoever the John Berg. So James Wan basically had luck on his side that he could just kind of do whatever he wanted and kind of make the movie he wanted. And I feel like this is like, if people love Furious 7 for its like crazy, wacky action sequences where the cars are like the superhero suits for like Vin Diesel and Jason Statham, this is a movie where like, you get to watch like you get to watch Jason Momoa ride on the back of a war horse or a seahorse, giant seahorses. You get to see everyone talk underwater. And Patrick Wilson do a war cry. And I mean, it's all good stuff. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
You get to see fish death, like a fish king is killed. Like, it's like just you see a floating corpse. I mean, it's just like you just get everything. Like, and I just kind of love it. I mean, I unabashedly love all the action, even if like it feels like every 10 minutes, like there's a whole gag where every 10 minutes, like there's an explosion that Amber Heard and Jason Momoa have to survive.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Like, I just genuinely like this movie a lot. I've seen it a bunch in theaters. I've seen it. I should own it. I should try and go and find the Blu-ray for it because I actually do like this movie a lot. Yeah.
Chris, who do you like this movie?
I mean, I enjoy it. I just don't really remember much from it, honestly. But I don't really have anything like too harsh against it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same here. I remember liking it. The setting was creative. I remember that. I don't remember the details though that much, so I can't really comment a lot on it. So.
Sure. I mean, it has a superhero vibe to it. I'll say that. Like, I think the supporting cast is far stronger than, say, the Wonder Woman film. Like, I love Orm. I think Patrick Wilson is giving like his all in this movie. Like, he's going really big and evil, and I like that about it. Like, I like Black Manta in this one. Willem Dafoe is in this one. So yeah, just points for just having Willem Dafoe and Django Fett. Tamara Morrison's in it. So, just being a kid in the early 2000s and hearing his voice, like that's all I need in some instances. And of course,
him being in love with Nicole Kidman. I mean,
yep, the queen of AMC theaters. Like, it's more fun than the other films. And I think when you're going with superhero stuff, being fun can really take you places. Because if you go serious and it's bad, it's like, why'd you try to be serious? You're a superhero film. This one isn't serious. It's like, well, it's dumb. What are you going to do? Pick on it for being dumb? Like, it wears its goofiness on its sleeve, so I can appreciate that. Like, I still wouldn't put this as, like, one of the best superhero films ever made, but I do appreciate that it's not trying to be hardcore or have any big message. It's just loud and bombastic, but it's supposed to be. And he wears the costume at the end. I like that fight with him and Orm on the ship with the big rotating blades behind him, and it looks very stylistic. Like, it looks like a comic book panel, so I like that. So Aquaman is probably my favorite so far of the ones that we've talked about on this list. I'll give it a C. Can we... Oh, wait a minute, guys. I just thought of something. Can we get 7 C's out of the DCEU? Can we unite the 7? Hang on. What do we have in C so far in the DCEU? We have Man of Steel and Wonder Woman. And if we get Aquaman and C, can we get 4 more C's out of this? I say we go for it.
I
remind you. That's fine, but I remind you, C is a passing grade.
This would be a C or C plus for me.
That's
I guess
fine.
Since I don't remember it, that probably means it's a C because that means that nothing was memorable enough to be a B. So,
We're on the path to uniting the 7, I see.
Yeah.
I'll put a C in there, yeah.
All right, there we go. It's going in C. I'm sorry, Kale.
I'll put you know what? I'll give it a C for C's.
Yes. All right, so now we're currently at 3 C's for the DCEU. We need 4 more C's, guys. Can we do it? Hopefully we can.
I think we can. I think
Okay.
we can.
All right. So the next one is Shazam.
Oh yeah, C. Not even a
I,
question mark. Just a
I don't
plain
This is
know.
a
good
beat for
C.
me.
No, I like this movie.
I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's a really good, straightforward superhero origin film with
But guys, we got to
creativity.
unite the C's.
Look, I think we know which ones are going to get C's. I think we know.
Look, I'm
All
saving
right,
my A for a different movie later. So
that's fine. That's fine. Um, but like I said, I think this is a fun movie with good fun action and comedy. Like I think it was awesome that they managed to get a Shazam movie working, and they did it in a really cool way. What's everyone think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really fun. I will say this. This is probably, up to this point, this is probably the only DCU movie that I've actually rewatched. And The Suicide Squad. So
Hmm.
I guess that already just says something, like this has something that got me coming back, and even around like every Christmas time I try to watch this movie because it's got
Nice.
that nice holiday feeling. It's a delightful movie.
Damn it, is Zachary Levi canceled?
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, look, I like Flynn Rider as much as the next guy, but yeah, Zachary Levi's fallen on awkward, weird times. Like his turning point was when he was in a movie where he plays a little baby in a onesie with a purple crayon. Um,
Oh god, that's what
Yeah.
that movie was.
but anyways, back to Shazam. It's like appropriate kid humor. It's not like gory and weird, but you think about the stuff like any kid can watch during a period, and it's not too much. It's just enough kind of like scary, I think, for kids. It's good. And, we get Asher Angel as well, who I think is really good in this movie in particular as Billy Batson. It's one of the problems we'll get to with the sequel is there's not enough Billy Batson in the next film, but in this one there's a great balance. Like there's a genuinely good origin for him here. He's a fun kid, a little bit of a punk, but he learns from that, and it's got a good message of found family that's in there. It has that superhero feel. It's not ashamed to be making a superhero movie. Like they make jokes about the tropes, but it's funny and it's good-hearted, and it does not feel like they're trying really hard to not make a movie about a guy in a big red costume that flies and whatnot. Like it feels like they want to do something with the character, and they do. And I think that's really cool that they just made a movie and didn't have to worry about it being like, oh, are grown men going to be able to see the Shazam movie? It's like, no, who cares? Like, make one for the kids. How about that, DC? And you did, and you made a good movie, so good job.
So I don't hate the movie. I really don't hate it. That's why I'm giving it a C. But I do feel like, because you're right though, like all the Asher Angel stuff, all the kid stuff in the movie, like all with the adoptive kids is really, really good. My only problem is that it kind of runs a little too long. Like I kind of wish this was like a tighter 100 or 150 minute or 100 or 110 minutes.
That's fair.
I wish it was a little tight because some of the jokes do kind of get repetitive and tiresome. Like there's a whole bit where, he's like just shooting lightning, in front of a crowd, and it's kind of like, I guess this was fun at test screenings, but I'm waiting for the movie to get to the climax,
Right.
And then of course on paper it was a great joke, but the fact that like Mark Strong is having like his villain speech, like 1,000 feet away from Shazam, and Shazam can't hear him. It's a good joke on paper, but you're kind of like, we're in the middle of the third act. Let's get this. Let's go. Let's get to the end here. Like, it's how I was feeling. So like,
That's fair.
So like, yeah, like on their own, those clips would be great for YouTube. But for a movie where you're just kind of like, we're in the middle of the movie, we need to just keep going. So for stuff like I don't, so yeah, but for stuff like that, I mean, it's a solid movie, and I don't really hate any of the Shazam movies. Like, to be honest, like I don't think Shazam 2 is that bad. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
Sure.
But yeah, this is like a C tier for me. Just
I'm
Yeah.
actually gonna go a step above. I know we got to unite the 7, but I'm gonna say B plus.
Well, I tried, everybody. Well, I
I'll say
tried,
B.
listeners.
Yeah.
So,
I remember liking it. It's fun and quirky.
Yeah.
I laughed at a lot of the scenes. I mean, it's basically if two kids that age, one of them became a superhero, that's what would happen. You know,
Mhm.
they would
Mhm.
film it on their iPhones, and it's fun. Yeah,
Right.
it's not dark in a way that's like gritty. It's like there's a few scary moments really, and it fits just right for the tone.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm going to say B too. Yeah, it's just really solid. I mean, the highlight of the movie is just like him figuring out like his powers and everything, and they're going like different parts of the town,
Yeah.
and then he's like, "Oh, I'm bulletproof," and it's like that stuff's really fun. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. It's going in B. All right. Next, another deviation, an Elseworld. I guess we're calling these Elseworlds now. These movies that are not DC universe movies. So
right.
Joker. We're going Joker mode. I'll say this real quick. I like this little stretch of movies because it's like Aquaman, Shazam, and Joker. Like they all came like within the span of a year. Like it was like December to October of the next year. So it's like, look how different DC can be. Like, you know, especially at the time where Marvel feels homogenized. Meanwhile, DC, it's like bombastic cartoon Lord of the Rings film, like a very stripped down Sam Raimi homage, and then Joker. And I like that they're able to do that because Joker, I mean, Joker was getting controversial before it even came out. Like, there's all those stories of like, oh, this is going to make people violent and scary. And then nothing happened. Because I guess it turned out that the people that was going to make violent and scary were already violent and scary. So
I was confused by what the controversy was the whole time.
There
before
really
and after.
wasn't. It just was a bunch of people that were coming from Venice going, this is a very powerful, this is like, you know, a very powerful movie, like in the vein of Taxi Driver, you know, where, I mean, Taxi Driver, you know, like it does have that story where it inspired somebody to go, was it shoot Reagan? Was that what it was? Like that?
Yeah, it was Jodie Foster trying to impress her. The shooter who tried to assassinate Reagan was wanting to impress Jodie Foster. It was John Hinckley Jr.
Okay, so
It's a really odd story. Okay, he's
Wait.
on YouTube making music now. He's out of prison. You can just go talk to him. It's very
Wow.
strange. I did not know that. It was an article about it. Anyway,
I
back
did
to
not
the
know
movie.
that.
we
It's a very
really live
strange
we really live in troubled times.
Yeah.
Anyways, I like this movie, though. I don't have very strong opinions about it, but I do like it.
I like it. Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Walking Phoenix gives a good performance. The cinematography looks great. The music is really, really good.
Yes.
I mean, it's just like it's an okay movie. I just kind of felt the same way I felt when I watched that Johnny Depp, Whitey Berger movie or whatever that's called. I kind of just felt like very depressed and just like beaten down.
Mhm.
That's what made it so great.
I know, but you don't want that for every meal you have. That's like having like McDonald's every day.
Sure. I think that is the biggest thing is like, if you're a fan of film in general, like you've probably seen a million movies like this. And like, especially the ones that, you know, we keep referencing, like Taxi Driver or even like King of Comedy, like you could probably just go watch those. But yeah, but I think performance-wise, visual-wise, I do think that there's enough here to enjoy, to see it as a good movie, even if it's not maybe the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah, and it's a good flex for Todd Phillips to go from the guy who made the Hangover movies to go do this.
Right.
So, yeah, no, it's an okay movie. I just wasn't. I just don't think it's like the best movie or best comic book movie ever made. So it's a C for me.
Okay.
The ending is excellent. The only issue this runs into in the middle, I mean, there's several issues, but one issue is that it kind of treats like it's one of those tropes where society is the villain, and it's vaguely like you see people like rioting and holding signs. Like that's a common thing in superhero movies now is the holding the signs and the protesting over something. You know, like, and I think someone made a comment. One critic said that the idea that like he would kill a couple guys on the subway and the next week there'd be masks made of like, or there'd be supporters of him. It does seem a bit, at the time it seemed a bit exaggerated, but now though with the last year with the killing of the CEO, Luigi, you know, Now it's like, okay, maybe that would happen. It's like maybe
Yeah.
the people have reached that level where it's like now they're caricatures of something that happened in the Joker. So I don't know. It's I think the middle act could have been handled a bit better, but um, yeah, very intense ending though. Very well done, well executed. No pun intended. Well executed.
Right. All right, Chris, what do you think? Where is this going to go?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it a lot. It is, just kind of baby's first Taxi Driver, but like it's simple, it's effective, and it's for DC, it's a nice change of pace. And
Mm.
I like what you said about like just that stretch of like going from Aquaman to Shazam to this. It's like so bizarre, but like it was a very interesting time. And yeah, so I think probably B tier is where I'm leaning with this movie.
I'm thinking B as well.
Yeah, I'll give it a B.
Okay, so what's our average?
I think it'll be. I think we'll just all average to a B.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. All right. There we go. All right. We're back to the DCEU once again. We are now in 2020, the pandemic. Now the question is, can we find something that was worse than the pandemic? I think we can, because we're starting with
You've
Birds
had
of
enough
Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Just the worst title.
You've had it out for this movie for the last 5 years, my friend, and I'm here to say it is not that bad.
Okay, I'll say this. I've come around on this movie a little bit. Like, I still don't like it. It's very much that kind of Deadpool humor, but I think Margot Robbie is funny in it for what it's worth. A big problem, I'm not going to say the big problem. It's not just that the title is long and bullshit, but this movie should have just been called Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. Like, calling it Birds of Prey was a huge fucking mistake because, first of all, they're barely in it. Second of all, they're not, like, the same as the comics version. And, like, I hate to be like, they didn't do the comics, but, like, Cassandra Cain, Batgirl from the comics, like, is, like, one of my favorite Bat family characters, and that's not the character that's presented in the film. And, we just talked about it's a new interpretation. It does different things, but I see stuff like that, and if you're selling me on this as the character, then it's just not the character to me.
Well, anyone else want to go before I give my defense?
Sure.
So I don't really hate this movie. Again, this is one where it was just kind of like a one and done, and never really thought about it since I watched it. So I will say, like, at least it just kind of looks and feels a little bit spunkier for like what we had in DC. Like, I guess kind of matching like sort of Shazam levels, where it's like very scaled back and just pretty, just it was kind of simple, but nothing great, but nothing I kind of outright hated about it either. So
Yeah.
I thought it was an obnoxious movie. I don't know. I mean, it's I don't really see the point of taking a villain like Harley Quinn and making her the hero and taking out anything that's like threatening about her. Like, or I mean, she's supposed to be an intimidating character, and she's that way in the Suicide Squad by James Gunn, while still kind of being a hero in that. But at least she actually kills people. That's what she does. So with this one, I don't really see the point of it. If she's just supposed to be a hero and part of a superhero team. But yeah, the tone is just really annoying. I thought the whole time, I didn't like it. So that's it.
So, Kale, why do you like it?
So I think I kind of like it more as a, like, I can see what the vision was supposed to be. Like, because the thing about this movie was it was kind of like taken away from Cathy Yan's, hands. Because it was supposed to be much more in vein with Pulp Fiction. Like, it's supposed to be like this character study. Like, we see all these individual characters have their own story. We kind of see, like, their kind of, like, what's going on and how their story is loosely connected to our story, which is the Cassandra Cain and Harley Quinn story. And I kind of like that. Like, I love I can't remember Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character's name, but I kind of like Huntress.
Yeah, she's basically playing like an R-rated version of her character from Sky High.
Okay. First of all, comic book people, y'all have come up with like the laziest names. Y'all have some of the laziest I mean, I get it. Y'all have to make like 1,000 characters a month, but still, can we do better? Anyway, okay, sorry, side tangent. Sorry, that was my side tangent. So I like Huntress's story, and I like how, like, I feel like that's kind of like in a nutshell what the movie was supposed to be. Like, everyone's supposed to have their own story, but then Black Canary kind of gets, cut down. Cassandra Cain, like, you're right, she's not really that much of a character, and Harley Quinn is kind of like more in line with like Jack Sparrow, but for the DC universe in this movie. But what I do love about it is like its style, and just like its unabashedness of like everyone coming together at the end, and also Ian McGregor just being like this like queer icon of a villain. I mean, just like, it's just like everything about it. I think I like, again, this is just me reacting to a movie I saw 5.5 years ago. I mean, I kind of like the ideas of it more than the actual movie, or what I remember. So I'm willing to also give like a C+ to this, but I mean, I kind of like, but it's like there's just some stuff in it where I'm just like, even remembering it now, I'm like, I remember Ewan McGregor getting eaten by a shark at the end, like in whole, not even like, he gets ripped apart, like he just gets swallowed whole by a shark. I remember that kind of being funny.
I forgot that happened actually.
I think that's what happens. He just like gets eaten
I'll
by
take
a shark.
I'll take your word for it.
No, he's not eaten by. He's just blown up by. He's just blown up by a grenade. That's what happened. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting all of them mixed up now. So, but yeah, it's.
I was thinking D+ for this one.
Hey, I'm still trying to get. I'm still trying to get us, the 7 C's here. So I'll go.
I understand.
I'm gonna go C with this one.
Okay.
I give it a D.
Oh.
We might have an average C- here.
All right, we'll throw this a bone and give it a C-. We'll make it the 4th C. Okay.
You did it, Birds of Prey.
All right, you hear that, Birds of Prey fans? I fought for that C-.
Yes.
Now this next one I'm not gonna fight for. Wonder Woman 1984. I am not fighting for this one.
Okay.
Worse than COVID?
I'm coming.
Alex, you mentioned that, but arguably. No.
Remember that bit where Wonder Woman rapes a guy? That was pretty great. This movie's pretty funny, actually. This is technically a streaming movie because this came during their whole plan of like, we'll put movies on streaming because we can't go to the theater no more.
And I kind of understand that. I kind of understand that method, to be honest. Like people can be mad at Warner Brothers for doing that, but I mean, we were being told we were not supposed to go to the theater. So
yeah,
like this was the best compromise of like, look, we'll send this movie here. We'll send it to the theater for the people that want to go and do it, but you can watch it at home as well. So I understand the method. Unfortunately, Hollywood completely turned that on its head of like every movie Warner Brothers made was a bomb. I'm like, not really, but good try though.
Sure. Anyways,
have you guys seen Patty Jenkins' Monster with Charlize Theron?
No.
Okay. She is better than this. I mean, if you watch that, it's shocking, like how good that movie is and how bad. I mean, this is the worst one on the list in my opinion. Like the worst. Like just pandering garbage. I mean, just obnoxious, like poorly filmed. 80s nostalgia, kind of. That's the peak. This is the peak of that. Just like, I can't think of anything good to say.
Well, like,
honestly.
Well, what I'll say about it is it's a lot goofier. It's a lot sillier. But I think I kind of enjoy it for that, which I guess is a bit of a trend if we're talking about these movies here. Like, I like the sort of over-the-top Maxwell Lord character played by Pedro Pascal. Like, I like the sort of idea of 80s greed. Like, that was a pretty common idea of everything is bigger in the 80s. So I like the ideas behind it. But it's too long. It's too much, and there are things in it that now, it's always been relevant, but they're very relevant now. And considering what kind of person Gal is, it is interesting that those things are in the movie, but I don't hate it. I think it's fine. It reminds me of Superman 3 and X-Men Apocalypse. That's where I kind of have it in my brain, but not as good as either of those films.
Okay. Well, Chris, go ahead.
Um, so yeah, this is kind of stupid. I don't know. It's just, again, a lot of it has left my mind. I will say this though. I mean, we were talking about like how it's this was streaming and theater release, I think, on the same day. How much of a fucking chore that would be to watch in the theater. We have a luxury of
I did
just
not watch
watching
it in theaters, for the
Yeah.
record.
Did you watch it in theaters, Kale? Oh no.
Oh,
I did. I mask and all. I showed up. And it was a
Oh,
fully
man.
crowded theater. That's what was so
Oh, wow.
surprising. Yeah, it was a very crowded theater for COVID.
Wow.
I know, right?
But yeah, I'm kind of similar stance on Alex. Like, I do like that it was pretty campy and silly, and that's kind of what stood out. But then there's just this huge chunk in the middle where just like nothing happens, and it's just exhausting. So
and then the
like,
fight with Cheetah, it just looks like
Yeah.
ass.
yeah,
Like, the Cheetah needs to be a commitment. The Cheetah character in the comics is kind of like Wonder Woman's main villain, right? It's like her Joker, her Lex Luthor. So you could have done that really well with a mixture of practical and CG, but because she's only Cheetah for like the last fight scene of the film in the dark on a mountainside or whatever the fuck, it's like, why? Like, why did she need to be in it? Because she has to fight somebody, and then the Cheetah is the most iconic one that we got, and it's going to be Kristen Wiig for some reason. So just very bizarre choices all around. I guess that's it. Like, every choice that they make is like, that's what you're going to do? And the result is like the exact opposite of what people like about the first Wonder Woman film. And thus it got Patty Jenkins sort of on ice there for a little bit. We don't know. Like, she may still have a Star Wars movie, but she's obviously not making another Wonder Woman movie at this point.
Yeah, this is a weird time where, like, Patty Jenkins, like, before this movie comes out, like, Patty Jenkins is, like, signed on to Cleopatra, starring Gal Gadot, or Gadot, whatever her name is. Gal, and then she's got Star Wars announced, and she's got Wonder Woman 3 also, like, she's contracted to do Wonder Woman 3. And none of those have, like, materialized. Like, even the Cleopatra movie, which is now being directed by somebody else, still hasn't materialized. So it's just like, it's interesting how, like, Patty was such a huge force. And then, after this movie, it's like, hold on, never mind. Sorry. It is so bizarre because, like, they shot a whole promo for her movie Rogue Squadron. Like, they shot like
Right,
a whole,
yeah.
like, she's like coming out of a jet or like a plane.
An X-Wing.
Yeah. Like in an X-Wing suit. So it was just like they did this whole promotion and then they're like, sorry, never mind.
Could it be, dare I say, that Hollywood is fake sometimes?
Oh, I understand that point of view, but I was just like, that's Star Wars for you. They just make announcements and spend money making announcements for stuff like this, and then they're just like, sorry, never mind.
That's why I still refuse to believe that Ryan Gosling Star Wars movie will actually happen until I see it before my eyes.
Yeah, that's why the Mandalorian Grogu movie, I'm like, yeah, that probably, I'll believe
that one. I feel is more of a done deal, just because there is actual images of the movie that have been shown. So
yeah, but you never know. Like, this movie could get canceled, like the Pharrell Michelle Gondry movie. Like, they finish it and go, oh, sorry, never mind.
I was very close to making this one of the 7 C's, but then I remember Wonder Woman rapes a guy, so it's gonna go in D for me.
Okay,
yeah, this is D.
Okay, now that you've said that, and now I have to defend the movie. So
You don't have to. It's okay.
You don't have. You could just go put it in D. You don't have to put it in F, but you could just a D.
Okay, here's my defense for the movie.
D for defense.
Here's what I will say. So the movie, I love it more just because the idea of Diana having to basically choose something she wants over the needs of others, like, that feels like such a very superhero kind of like theme to have, especially for a superhero sequel, of like, you have to choose between Chris Pine again or the fate of the world. And I've always really liked that opening sequence where she's taught humility of like, you can't cheat your way through, you can't cheat your way through life, or you can't cheat your way through these Olympics. Which that, first of all, that opening sequence with the Olympics is so good. Like, it is really, really cool. Like, because we don't ever get to see so much of that world anymore in these movies. And so to have a little bit more glimpse, it was actually kind of cool. Other than that, I mean, I just like kind of the story. I think Pine and Godot, they have like that chemistry again. And I don't know, like everything kind of works. And then when she gives up Pine and she just has that moment where Hans Zimmer's score is soaring and then she flies through the sky, it's just like this euphoric idea of letting go and then being able to soar after you kind of let go of something that big of your life. I don't know, like there's just something really great about it. And then I just love the ending where it's just like the villain has to choose the fate of the world or his own greed. Like he has to like choose his humanity, or the fate of the world. Like you can choose to be the most powerful person, but what are you going to be the most powerful person of? So
That's all great, Kale, but do you remember the bit where Wonder Woman rapes a guy?
hey, monkey paw effect. You get your Chris Pine back, but you also have to. But he's also like in the body of some other like rando dude. So, which I will say this, it was a bizarre choice for the movie to be like have that rando dude just show up at the end of the movie, like it in Christmas. So cutting back to the ending of Batman Returns also taking place at Christmas, having Wonder Woman just wander through DC at Christmas and then just run into the sky, and then they just like have a meet cute, like yeah, like maybe there'll be something. Maybe that'll be her relationship until Ben Affleck in Justice League. So yeah, it is a bizarre movie. I will give you all that, but I feel like there is more to it than just the bad choices that are made. And Pedro Pascal always like making really good choices, like in his role, like just making very interesting choices. Playing Maxwell Lord is like this very ambitious person. So
yeah, he is great.
I mean,
in
Pedro
this.
Pascal tries his best with the character, but I hate this villain so much. I mean, it's just such a
Was it all the
it's
time
such a
he said
caricature of, like,
granted?
yeah. I mean, for one, like it's it's like the movie treats me as if I'm like 12. I don't know. It's like, greed is bad. Yeah, I know greed's bad, but it's also not the cause of wars, really. It can be, but it's not usually the cause of war. It's like, it's just such a dumb, pandering movie. I just feel like it's insulting to like simplify the, I don't know. Yeah, I really, really didn't like this one. Yeah.
All right, Kale, what are you grading this?
B plus.
I'm going D.
And so is everyone else a D?
I'm
yeah.
a D.
F. Oh, F.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. It'll
There's
average
no-
to a D then. So,
Yeah.
all right. It
I
is.
mean, the worst movie on this list. I mean, so far the whole list is this one, I think. But I don't know.
All right.
I think
well,
we can do
next up-
worse.
Oh, I got one for you. Next up, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Okay,
It's
when
better.
I said, yeah, when I
It's
said
better,
it was,
but who cares? Who cares? It's undeniably better. But I have no interest in ever watching this movie again. Like, I don't much care for it at all.
I mean, a PB&J is better than, is better than Worms, I guess. So,
Okay, well, first distinction. This is not a movie. This is a 4-hour-long miniseries that you're forced to watch in one sitting at gunpoint.
to be fair, you can pause at the chapter breaks.
Oh, I did not. I watched this in one sitting.
Well, okay, that's your choice. Yeah, no, I'll go ahead and say it. I really like this. This is my favorite of the Snyder trilogy because it actually is lighter. There's actual jokes. There's actual good performances. There's an actual story arc for some of the characters. And then the story arcs that are not there are going to be filled, or at least they were planned to be filled later in by like Aquaman and Wonder Woman movies. So overall, I feel like Snyder, I don't think this was ever his vision for the Justice League movie. I think they just I think this was the product of all the scripts kind of just came together and then they just somehow made a decent movie out of it. So, but yeah,
The
I
ending
do
is
like
bad
it.
though. The ending is so embarrassing. It's so
The nightmare
bad.
stuff.
Yeah, like there's so many points where you can end this movie. Like this movie has more endings than Return of the King.
Hey
Like
now, be
I
nice.
think I think for me, when Superman opens his shirt and does the logo reveal, that's where you end it. Like that's the ending of the movie for me. That makes the most sense. But then we get this fucking like he shot this in his driveway ass fucking scene where all these characters look completely different. Like fucking Batman looks like he's like malnourished now. Joker is being stupid and Batman is like, fuck you, Joker, I'll fucking kill you, motherfucker.
I know. Okay, that was bad. I will give you that. Like everything before that was good, and that's the thing that's the one thing I cannot trust in Snyder for is that all these nightmare sequences make me think like, no, it would have been bad no matter what. Like the ending result would have been bad because all these nightmare sequences have been so pointlessly shoved in and they're so bad. Like they don't add anything to these movies. They, in fact, now that this universe is defunct, it makes me wonder what was even the point of of wasting everyone's time with these sequences, knowing that we're never going to see this fully realized. And it's even more frustrating here in this movie.
Yep, and then also with Martian Manhunter was Martha posing his like how many like personal conversations has he been involved with? Like, was he Paul Kent telling Superman to let those kids die? Was he the drum playing octopus in Aquaman? Was he the tornado that kills Paul Kent? Was he the dog? Was he the dog?
Was he Crypto?
All right, Chris, what do you have to say about Snyder Cut?
So I'm kind of going to be like a weird blend of both of you, but I think I'm more in line with Kale on this one.
Okay.
This is definitely my favorite of the Zack Snyder trilogy, and pretty much similar reasons. It's like this actually does have a lighter tone, and it doesn't really like feel forced either. It doesn't feel like the studio mandate. It probably was, but like it just having like Zack Snyder in control of that, like it just I don't know, like it felt fine. It felt fun. Like scenes like the Flash's introduction. That was a genuinely good scene in this movie. So like I would probably never watch this again. You're right, Alex, but like this is I didn't hate it. And yeah, obviously yes, it is a better version of the movie, but it's still like nothing I would go crazy to like suffer 4 hours again. It's just not enough there for that, but it is there are some like good moments throughout that make me appreciate it.
All right, Brandon, where do you land?
It was bloated, very exhausting to watch. A slight improvement over the original, just because it's more coherent in some scenes. The funniest thing about this, though, is my parents watching this. I think I mentioned this before, but so most director's cuts, they make it very obvious that all it is a director's cut. But this was marketed as if it's a new movie. So my parents watched it on HBO Max, whatever it was. I watched it with them, and they were confused the whole time about what it was. I think they were like, "This seems familiar. Have we watched this?" And I'm like, "Well, sort of. You kind of have like." And I kept having to explain to them what like the story behind all this was. And I barely knew too, but like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I mean, it's a lot added in, and they make it more into an epic war kind of like fantasy, like kind of feel, and that's good, I guess. It's about the only thing though it improves upon. I mean, it's just still the same characters. It's not very interesting. It's very long. That's for sure.
It is very, very long.
And it feels long too. That's the issue. Long movies, I don't mind if they're good; they go
Sure.
by quickly. But this felt long. Like
4 hours. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was originally gonna say, okay, this is marginally better than the first Justice League. I was originally gonna go instead of a whole letter grade up. I was originally gonna say from F to F plus, but I'll be generous and say D. I'll give it a D.
Yeah, I'll give it a D.
All right.
I'm going to go C on this one. So,
Kale, what are you thinking?
B plus.
Oh Lord. I guess this is going to be one of the 7
See,
C's.
let's go.
All right, let's go. All right, let me just make sure write that down. Snyder cut. I'm keeping track. We're now at 5 C's. We need 2 more.
Okay, we can do this. Guys, we got this.
All right. We'll do what they never could. We're going to unite the 7. All right, but maybe not this next one. The Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah, A. That's fine. I'm good with an A.
Thank God. Like, we could finally talk about a good movie that people like.
Very well written, very well shot, very good characters, very good hand and good casting. Like very like no one really talks about how well cast Idris Elba is in this movie.
Oh
Because
yeah.
he fits and looks like a B protagonist, like a B movie protagonist. And has that kind of like trauma, like he nails the trauma kind of style perfectly. Like the trauma, George A. Romero, like that, he kind of nails all of that like kind of characterization perfectly. And like it's just so much fun. Like it's a fun 2-hour romp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon, what do you think of this movie?
Maybe the best on the whole list, possibly. With the Batman, these two. S tier for me. I mean, it's excellent. Oh yeah, by far. I mean, I say
S for
flawless. There's not a
Suicide.
single. We saw this together, 3 of us.
Yeah,
and
we did. We
I
did.
remember walking out of the theater like, that's a flawless movie. There's not a single moment where it wasn't like on. Even the jokes, like there were arguably too many jokes, but they all work though.
Yeah.
Somehow, like almost all of them do. Like, which I was shocked by. Dark comedy, which you don't get too much in superhero movies.
Very violent comedy.
Yeah, but actual empathy, not fake empathy, the kind that's so common in these movies. Yeah, and the best part too is that it's all on one island. Like we're so used to them saving the world, which is getting really old, and especially like, or just it's the city. Like you have a laser shooting up from a building. This is just all one island, and it's like it's anti-imperialism kind of. It's a little bit of political commentary. It's great. Yeah, great stuff. And the ending is genuinely weird too. Like the creature at the end, like comic book weird.
With giant starfish.
It has a lot going for it. Like it's made by someone that clearly has such an amazing reverence for the source material. And I don't mean just adapting panel to panel or pulling dialogue. Like sure, the John Ostrander, the writer of the original Suicide Squad comic, has a cameo in this, but at the same time, it's not slavish. Like it doesn't do its own thing. Like Peacemaker is a totally different character, but it works within the context of this version of these characters and this lore. Like there's just so much fun to it. Like I love the title cards that come up. Like I love that the Suicide Squad for the first time feels like people can die. Like the first film has Slipknot, and it's like, oh, that's the guy that's going to die, and no one else is going to have any issues other than like the big sacrifice from the Diablo guy. But in this, like we literally introduce a whole team, and then later, like even more members that just straight up die. And it's like, wow, people can die in this. And it's R-rated, and it's bloody, and it's all these things. Like, this is what the Suicide Squad should be. And arguably, like, they've never managed to capture this in any form before or since in terms of comics, video games, TV shows, whatever. So that's impressive. Like, they actually maybe like the Suicide Squad. All right, Chris, go for it.
Yeah. So I'm pretty much kind of in line with Brandon on this. It's just I really can't think of anything I didn't like about this, and I think the most damning thing is that this has kind of raised the bar for like my expectations on Superman, because this is not only one of my favorite DC movies, but this is my favorite James Gunn movie. So it's like, there's Superman has to do a lot to pass this, but like this. It's just so fun, and just like I love all the dark humor. I love all the messaging going on. It's just it's not like the best superhero movie ever, but I think in the context of like what we're talking about with DC, I think I would say this is S tier. So
yeah, wow. And look, John Cena got a TV show out of this movie. Like the fact that
we
got Peacemaker, it is great, yes. And the fact that we got Peacemaker as a show, and it's one of the best comic book shows of all time. Like everyone looked like they had a good time. Like the movie itself is really good, and since then we've only had good things happen because of it. And it is the opposite in every way possible of the last movie to feature the Suicide Squad. So it's just a wonderful win. And it's a shame that people will needlessly hate on this movie. Like, if the comedy is not your thing, if you're not into gore, I can completely understand that. But there is a sort of innate dislike towards this movie just due to the nature of it and the director and everything, and which I think is incredibly unfair.
Well, in the first 15 minutes, I remember my thought process was with the weasel drowning and then half the team getting killed off. I was thinking this could just be edgy for the sake of being edgy. But then the scene where she threatens, Viola Davis threatens his daughter with sending her to the worst prison in like the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And he threatens her with the pin to the neck. That scene, I'm like, okay, this is gonna have actual substance. Like, and it did the whole movie.
Yeah,
like, that's the moment where I'm like, okay, this is could be a great movie, and it was. I thought so.
Do you guys remember at the time there was a very, very small vocal minority where you know how Zack Snyder is a producer on the film, and the opening credit sequence is the song "People Who Died," and it's playing over all the dead bodies in a very comical way. And obviously his name is up during one of those pieces, and the lyrics are playing over it, and people thought that was like some inappropriate jab at the real life events of his family. And it's like, what a stretch, guys. Come on. So like, if you want to pretend like there's some feud between these two or whatever, that's just not true, as it is with most big companies or people or whatever. It is strange just how much drama has to be tied to it. But in terms of a comic book movie that does everything right without having to be one with the comic, a one-to-one with the comics, like I think James Gunn is perfect at that. Like, he hasn't made a comic book movie yet that I haven't disliked. And most of them I actually love, so that's really impressive. So you know what? I'm going to join you guys. Why not give this an S?
Yeah, it's really good. Great stuff. Also, really love King Shark. Really want to see it. I really want to see a movie with that guy, because that would be... Because imagine like a Hawaiian beach vacation movie, but you just have like King Shark and Aquaboy or Aqualad, teaming up together. So yeah, just make it work. Come on, James Gunn, bring it back. Bring Nanawe back.
There we go. All right. Well, here's another one that we might unanimously agree on, and that is The Batman. S tier.
S, yeah.
Oh,
F.
Yeah, S tier for me. Yeah.
F. I'm kidding. Just S tier.
All right, great.
This is
oh man. Movie. Oh, it's a really good Batman movie. It's just a good movie in general. Like I feel like it's the Batman movie a lot of us have been wanting for years now. Like it really does a nice combination of all these different types of Batman, whether it's new or older. It is really, really well done. And I mean, I really struggle to say anything bad about it because I really don't feel like it. Like, why do I want to talk shit on one of my favorite Batman movies? I don't. So that's why we're praising it as much as we can. And I'll just say there's only one thing I don't like, and it's I'm not even going to talk about it. I don't feel like it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's like the only blemish on the whole movie. Yeah, but it's so insignificant. But yeah, I thought that this is like the closest thing we've gotten to like a Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings in terms of the setting being just completely immersive. I mean, just this version of Gotham City has so much depth to it, and the Iceberg Lounge. I mean, we go there 3 times in the movie, and it's just so good. Yeah, like,
you just want to dance to the music while you're in your Dolby Cinema.
Yeah.
Here's the question: out of the 3 villains, who is the true villain of this movie? Because I have an answer that.
I mean, I'm going to say it's the Riddler, but
yeah,
John Turturro. I mean, his performance in this is so good. Like he's like the embodiment of like corruption in Gotham City.
Well, we technically have 4 villains if you count. Oh wait, we're not going there. Okay.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Well, there's 4 villains. There's the Penguin. There's Falcone, the Riddler, and then the other guy we're not mentioning.
Oh, Are you talking about Melvin?
Yeah, I'm talking about his brother, Melvin's brother. Yeah.
Yep. That for the record, people, that's not the Joker. I don't care what anyone says. That is Melvin.
I think that was fine. I mean, I will say, sorry to interrupt, but the thing I will say about this movie is I love that there's a whole movie before this, but we just got to the Dark Knight part of it first. Like, that was our introduction to it. So, like, I'm glad we got the Joker movie out of the way, and now we can do any other. We can do a Riddler, and now we can do something else. So, yeah.
But like this feels like an amalgamation of all things that make Batman great, and it's got all these little unique little details. Like there's changes, and I'm interested to see where those ramifications will go. Like where it's like this Batman, like I don't think traveled the world and like learned all these things to become the world's greatest detective. Like I think he learned it all himself and from Alfred at home. Like this is a world where we don't have a confirmed Joe Chill. They never found the killer of the Waynes, and we have all these little changes that kind of ripple throughout this Batman universe that make it its own. And I like that. I like that it's its own thing while still feeling like Batman. You know, like we have this Batman that narrates and he's dramatic and he's in the costume most of the time, but it's like, wow, like we have a Batman that genuinely feels like Batman. I feel like sometimes Batman doesn't feel like he can yell because you kind of lose a bit of the mystique of him being all low and gruff. And, you know, you get yelling and you get like Bale's Batman, which people don't like that voice. But with here, I feel like he's one of the most emoting Batmans that we have while still being the kind of like dark, mysterious character. Like there's that good scene where Gil Colson has got the bomb on his neck and he's answering all the riddles. It's like, how much? How much? He yells at him, and it's fun. Like he has a lot of it's a lot of him being like really expressive, but we don't get that a lot from Batman in a way that still makes him feel like the character.
Yeah. There's not much more to say. I can't wait for the second one to come out.
In like 10 years.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm good with waiting. Just don't cancel it. Like, just don't cancel it. That's all I want. I'm good with waiting. Just don't cancel it. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
There's something that they may not have intended, but I noticed that. So in The Dark Knight, there's a scene early on where Batman has imitators. They're trying to like fight crime. Not doing a very good job at it. And it's a great movie, so we don't remember that scene. It's just okay, you know. But basically, this movie takes that concept and like uses that for the Riddler. It's really fascinating. Like that would happen if there was a superhero who was beating people up. There would be imitators, and they do it really poorly.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the movie, the whole point is it's like, yeah, to be a superhero, you can't just beat people up because it's going to send a message that you're going to get imitators who are going to become domestic terrorists. Basically, that's kind of the idea of the movie, and it's done so well. Like,
yeah. All right, Chris, what do you have to say about this movie?
Yeah, it's really solid. This is kind of like just the perfect culmination of everything Batman is up to this point. You get the kind of more real world look at Batman in a more fictionalized setting. It's a beautiful blend of like Nolan and Burton kind of, and really just kind of like the spirit of like the animated series. I absolutely love like all the detective noirish, you know, look and feel of the movie. Cinematography is great, score is great. I just love it. It's just so good.
I will say I'm a little surprised they haven't done anything with Catwoman yet. Like obviously we have the Penguin show, which is also a great show, but I feel like greenlighting a Catwoman anything would have made sense at the time. But you know, if they don't have a story, they don't have a story. But you know, that's fine. But I like this version of Selena quite a bit, and I wouldn't mind seeing more of her. And they kind of set her up as like ready to have her own solo adventure. Like there's stories you can adapt. We can kind of have her do her own thing. So I'd be interested to see that. But yeah, everyone's so great in this, and I love what they do with these characters. Like everything is an S tier in this movie, even down to the sound design. Like the sound of the Batmobile revving up its engine just quivered my butt cheeks. Actually, no. I'm going to say S+ because we like this more than the Suicide Squad.
Yeah. S all around. This is a great movie.
All right. Speaking of what's not that, DC, League of Super Pets.
F.
I was thinking more D.
No, it's an F.
Did anybody watch this one?
I watched it. Chris, did you watch it? Oof. What do you think?
I mean, it's fine. You know, we're not the target audience, but like it's there's nothing I don't know. It's cheesy. It's pretty dumb, but it's cute, I guess.
I'll stick with my D.
I was probably gonna say like C, but I don't know if I want to waste one of the last few C's on this one.
Well, no. That's just for the DCEU movies. Like we can,
Oh,
you
okay.
can if you want to give it a C, you
All right,
can.
yeah.
And Chris, do not worry. I was not going to give this a C at all. So
Okay, there you go.
I'll stick with D. I think it's gonna go there anyways.
Yeah, I'm giving it an F. So it'll average out. I think it's notorious. I think it's all bad. Like the animation's very cheap. The it's very gluttonous of Dwayne Johnson to be like, I'm gonna be Crypto and Black Adam and do it all in the same movie. By the way,
Well, speaking of which, are you ready for the hierarchy to change, Kale?
Yeah, actually, I am. Go ahead.
I hate this movie.
This is another
I hate
F.
Black Adam.
Yeah. Black Adam's an F for me too.
Yeah. Like people seem to give this movie a pass. I think people have fun with this one. They like the after credits scene or whatever. Like I think this is genuinely one of the worst superhero films just because of how like bland and generic and just nothing of a movie it is. Like all of these years to build up Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam. Like all these casting rumors and all this talk and blah, 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 only for him to be the most boring, generic character. Like, I guess they're trying to do like a Terminator 2 thing with this like soulless machine and a little kid character, but none of it really works. Like, I mean, you could say, oh, the JSA is in it. I mean, yeah, like I like Dr. Fate enough, but he's not enough to save this movie. It's just insulting in every possible way to me. And it made me, a person who already didn't like The Rock, just dislike him even more.
Honestly, I forgot Pierce Brosnan was in this movie.
And Henry Winkler shows up in a cameo, which I guess is fun to think about. It's like if you want to think about it in like a timeline universe, like if you want to consider him as being part of that universe, like you think of like timeline-wise, Wonder Woman takes place, and then it's like somewhere in there, the Fonz is wearing a superhero outfit, and he can, I guess, change size.
Yeah, no, this was a very bad movie. It's like, and you can see a little bit of the potential of it because it's a movie about, because they try to be like, it's a movie about, colonialism, how imperialism has, ruined an entire Middle Eastern nation. But the thing is that is so like bizarre to me. The Rock is not Middle Eastern. He's Hawaiian. And on top of that, like, he's not even like trying like anything Middle Eastern, so it's, and like we build this whole twist in the movie that, he was the father of the kid who was like superpowered, and it's all dumb. Like it's all bad. It's all dumb. I mean, the only good thing about it is the villain gets like cut in half by Black Adam. And the gall that Dwayne Johnson has of being like, I don't want to fight Shazam next. I want to fight Superman because that's cooler. I don't want to fight no kid.
Right, like Dwayne was trying to get his fucking fingers in there and change the universe to his own whim. Like, I mean, like we've got a Shazam villain that can't even fight Shazam, like because he didn't want to do it. He's like, no, I'd rather fight Superman. It's like, well, there's a guy that has the same powers that you could go fight that would be more appropriate. It's like, nah, I want to fight Superman. It's like, what does he have to do with Superman? That's so boring of a fight. Like, there's no personal conflict between those two. There's not even interesting power sets. They have the same powers. Like, there's nothing you could do.
And look, I'm glad Viola Davis is like collecting these Amanda Waller paychecks, but her time was way better spent anywhere else other than this movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just, this movie, it's so bad. It's like everything. It was loud, bombastic. The best character dies. It's just, and you feel bad for everyone involved because like it's embarrassingly repetitive.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole joke is you have Aldous Hodge, I think that's his name, the actor who plays the Hawkman. You have like Hawkman going up to Black Adam like, you can't kill people, and Black Adam's like, I do, and he does that like 5 or 6 times in the movie, like for comedic effect, and it doesn't get funnier at any point. It doesn't. elicit a laugh at any point. It's just so, all of it. It's so bad. Bad writing, bad everything, bad CGI, bad everything.
Yeah, I was originally going to give this a D minus, but I think I might join you in F.
No,
Yeah,
this is
nothing redeeming here.
Yeah. No, this is, you drink 2 bottles of red wine after this to forget about it. Style bad.
All right, well, D minus it is. All right, next up is Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I mean, I guess I alluded to it earlier. I think it's pretty disappointing just because the first one is so enjoyable, and this one is just pretty nothing. Like, I don't think I hate it, but I don't have the strength to defend it at this point. It's just such a nothing, bland film.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I think the most disappointing fact is that, like, Zachary Levi, he's acting more like a kid than the actual kid in this movie. And, you know, it's just, you lost that charm that the first movie had, I think. You know, not that everything's, again, it's not all bad. It's just like, it's just a lot more boring and dull compared to the first one.
All right, Kale, what do you think?
I don't hate it. Like, I think it is, it's about the same as the first Shazam for me. Like, it's not, I think there are some really good moments. I do agree with Chris that Zachary Levi is trying so hard to act like a kid. And then you cut to any Asher Angel scene and he's like giving like this very mature, very well done performance of a character who's like reckoning with like the anxiety of being the leader. And I think all of that stuff really works. And I even like all the stuff with Jack Dylan Grazer where like he's kind of like having a little bit of like, you know, he needs to go and be separate and kind of have his own journey kind of thing. And so I kind of really like that, like, you know, that kind of stuff. I like Rachel Zegler in this, even though she has nothing to do other than just like wave her hands and act like she has superpowers. Like, but I do like the presence she has.
I like Adam Brody in this a lot, but I wish he was kind of in it more.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's kind of like how I would say for all the other characters, like, or other people that are Shazammed with their Shazam versions. Like, you wish they were in it more, but then the characters get their powers taken away, and then it's just like, oh, I guess we never see those people again.
Yeah. Let's give this a C.
Yeah.
I think we have to. Look, we've got 4 movies in 2023, and we know exactly the ones that are getting C. So let's give this a C so we can move on to the next few.
Yeah.
It is now the 6th
next
C. So Shazam 2 is a C. We need one more C, guys, and I think we know which one it's going to be. But this next one is The Flash.
F for Flash.
That would be pretty funny, but no, I don't hate this movie. I think it's got things that work about it, which is funny because people think this is like the worst film ever made. And I think when you see the Flash save a bunch of CG babies and there's like a vial of acid and like knives coming at a baby, I think I was like, all right, I know what I'm in for. And that set the tone for the rest of the movie. So I think I was able to roll with the punches a bit better than your average moviegoer. And he puts a baby in a microwave and people were like, oh my God, I can't believe he did that. And it's like, it's not real. It's fake. It's not like he pressed the button. Like if the Flash had put a baby in a microwave and pressed the button and it go and turn on, that would be really funny. And Ezra Miller probably would do that in real life, but it was a means of transportation. And
allegedly.
I think,
yeah.
Sure. And I think there's some good stuff in this movie. I think I like, obviously the scene at the end with his mom, like I think that's one of the best scenes of the whole movie. Like there's tons of like, you could tell they had ideas for what they wanted to do. And when you hear about all those directors and actors and people that walked away from this movie, be like, yeah, it's great. Like you could tell that's what they were focusing on, like the comedy and the family dynamics and this idea of this person goes back in time and realizes it's a mistake. Like not the CGI cameos, because like that's such a part of it that I don't even think about that. Like people talk about that part so much, and it is awful and it is bad, and I can't defend it because it's gross. But like I don't like when I think about this movie, I don't think about that part. Like you know what I think about? I think about the part where they're in the fucking Russian bunker or whatever, and they got Supergirl, and they get on that thing, and Batman's put the explosives up, and he pulls out his little Batman tape measure, and he looks at that with his Batman head, and he goes, "How much do you weigh?" Which is a good callback. It's like a reference without it being a blunt on the head reference, like not like the nuts line where he's like, "Let's get nuts." Like that was bad, but the "How much do you weigh" was like a genuinely funny bit. And as someone who isn't like the biggest fan of Keaton Batman, I liked him in this. Like I know people were upset that they kill him, but I don't really have a strong
They
opinion
kill him
about
like
it.
three times.
I mean, yeah, like heroes die. Like that's what they do. So, what do you guys have to say
Hey
about
guys,
this? Yeah.
I might head out
Okay.
real quick. But one thing though, it's funny is Kale and I were seeing Oppenheimer in theaters in IMAX,
Right.
and this trailer plays before the movie, and Michael Keaton shows up. I'm like, Michael Keaton, he's in the new Flash movie, and Kale bursts out laughing because I was so out of the loop with these superhero movies. I had no idea that he was in it, and that came off as the weirdest thing to me. I'm like, wait, what? I was so confused, but it's been fun, guys. Yeah,
Thank you for
haven't seen
joining.
these movies playing, so yeah.
Yes, thank you for joining us,
yeah.
Brandon.
Bye, Brandon. Nice seeing you, my friend.
Nice seeing you.
All right. All right. What do you guys have to say about the Flash?
I think it's a big waste of time. It's just there's. I'm not gonna overly defend it like you. I don't know if I would say F, but it's not good. It is just not good. And yeah, I just there are some okay parts, and I see what they were trying to focus on, but like it just doesn't work. But it automatically gets a +1 because George Clooney is in it. So I'll put it in D tier.
Oh, I want to talk about that.
Okay.
I actually before I get into that, I'll talk about the other Batman that's in this movie, Ben Affleck. I think he's pretty good in this. Like he's doing Batman stuff because, and it's funny because it's in daylight and he's moving around like a video game character and looking wild. And obviously, Ben Affleck had comments about how like with this movie he finally figured it out. He was like, "Oh, I get how I need to play this character now," and then he got fired. I do think the suit is ugly, but but I actually like Ben Affleck in this. I think he's a good Batman in this one. But let's talk about the Clooney in the room. I cheered so loud in the theater when George Clooney showed up. I actually tricked my small audience of about a dozen people to cheer and clap at the George Clooney cameo. I tricked people into doing it. Because at that point, it's like, who cares? It's the end of the movie. Why not? So having that be like the big aha is that Ezra Miller's stuck in the Batman and Robin universe now and will be trapped there forever as far as we can tell. Yeah, just nice, handsome George Clooney comes out, and that was good. I'm glad for him.
Man, they got rid of all those Greek statues. Those Greek statues from Bruce Wayne must have been like, there's too many Greek statues. We have to get rid of all of them. No, I hate this movie, but I will say it's a D still because there's still some good moments in the movie. Like I really do like the Ezra Miller, the two Ezra Millers, they work very well off of each other, like having two of them.
One of them is really insufferable. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, well, Ezra Miller is insufferable, but I do love there's like a serious, Barry
Wait, he's
Allen.
Batman?
Yeah, I like that there is a serious Barry Allen, and then there's less serious Barry Allen or more comedic Barry Allen. So I like that. I like Michael Keaton coming back, even though it kind of feels like a nostalgia pull. I do like, is it Sasha Kate? What's Sasha Kate or Sasha?
Hang on. What's her name? What is her name? Sasha Cale.
Sasha Cale. I do like her as Supergirl. And it is a bummer that she's not somehow implemented into the Gunn universe. Because it really is a bummer that actress got the dream role of a lifetime, and now and by the time that movie came out, it was just so toxic that or so nuclear that it was just no one would care to see it. So
And I guess
But
part of the issue with this movie is that there are multiple endings to this film. Like one of which we had gotten like a behind the scenes shot of Ben Affleck in a different Batman suit because the OG original ending is that Barry Allen resets the timeline, thus bringing in Michael Keaton as Batman, and then Sasha Cale as Supergirl. And it's like, well, this is the universe now. And then we would have gotten the Batgirl movie, and that's where Michael Keaton would have been and like and so on and so forth. And he would have shown up in Aquaman 2 apparently. And then with all this like juggling around and reshuffling and all this, like things kept changing and altering. And then, and from what I understand, the one that was shown at CinemaCon like the year before this came out, that had a different ending that didn't have the George Clooney ending. So I honestly don't know what those people saw, but this all would have set up a Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover where we would have had Ben Affleck being like, Barry, you got to find us, as like a message through time and space. So like they were going to do something, but obviously all that now is just garbage. So it ended on a joke to wrap it all up. So I guess that's the idea behind it.
And in a weird way, I'm okay with that just because watching The Flash as it currently is, and they are kind of following the Joss Whedon version of the Justice League with like the character dynamics of like doing the same joke with Wonder Woman's, tassel, like wrapping around, creating two characters that are very honest, like unflinchingly honest about her, looks. So I'm glad that universe is gone, even though it means that, none of those actors will ever show up again in the thing. But the thing is about The Flash, I kind of find like it's okay. And then the CGI kind of takes over. And then we somehow get to Man of Steel. We somehow end up with a shittier looking desert than what's in Man of Steel.
Oh yeah.
And that's where our third act battle is supposed to take place between Zod and everybody else, and it looks even worse 10 years later. And then
I've only seen this one the one time. I have never watched it after the theater. Like
No,
that's that case with a lot of these movies. I've either watched them 50 times or I've watched them once and never again. So
yeah, this is a one and done for me. So
in terms of my grade, I would say no higher than a D or something like that.
I would say D minus, just because it's not. I mean, I don't think it's a good movie whatsoever. And even going to that scene you talked about at the end of the movie, I think it's so emotionally manipulative because we don't really even get to spend that much time with the mother in this universe.
Sure.
So we don't even, and because we are supposed to like have this context before the movie of Barry missing his mother, which we don't have any contextual knowledge of from any of the movies, including Justice League. It's like it means nothing. Like it has no weight or bearing on us at all because we know she'll either do it or not. So like there's no mystery or suspense of it. So yeah, it just like is it like Chris was saying, it's just a giant waste of time. So
I mean that's the joke of the end is like this is all nothing. But
yeah.
Anyways, let's get on to the last few stragglers of the DCEU real quick. First up, we got Blue Beetle. This was a movie.
It was fine. It is noticeably a step better than everything else that came that year, but it's nothing incredible. But I'm actually going to say this is probably our 7th C. It is for me, at least.
Okay.
Oh wow. Okay. No, I don't love it. I like it. Like I think it's a good, solid origin story movie, and also for a character that no one really knows about. So it feels fresh and new, and we have like a new city. What's the city that Jaime's in? Jaime's world is?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
But I mean, I love the visual look of it. I love George Lopez in it. Like I feel
yes.
And I feel like the idea of like an all Latino cast was so great. Yeah. Like it just really was such a big deal to have that. And
the actress didn't get to attend anything, which is a shame because obviously it would have been really cool for a lot of these people to be like, wow, a big movie premiere for a superhero. That's not like the norm. And yeah, sadly that wasn't allowed because this was during the SAG strike. But yeah, this is a fine movie. It's a good superhero origin flick. The problem is, and we've talked about this here, we've seen quite a few of those. But I think if you're a kid and you're being introduced to superhero stuff, I think this is a perfectly good introduction. It's got all the marks. It's entertaining enough. It's pretty harmless. It's diverse, which is cool, and it makes it a different sort of superhero film that I think, I'm not saying that you have to be any kind of like Latin descent or anything like that to enjoy it, but if you're a kid who wants to see something that isn't just white superheroes, you have the option, and it's entry level. It's not dark. It's not scary. It's just a normal film.
Yeah, it's a good movie. There is a death scene that really does matter in it in 2/3 of the way through, but it's like just a really good, well done version of this origin story. And I kind of also hope that this version of Blue Beetle shows up in the Gunn universe. I hope what Gunn was saying wasn't just like promotion fodder.
Yeah, like he's one of those characters that is getting thrown around as being potentially like same cast but a different character, because it's a different continuity technically. Right. But if he does show up again, like I actually won't be upset. I think that'd be pretty cool if you put him in like, say, a Teen Titans movie or something.
Well, and technically, like his character could be in Gunn's universe because Blue Beetle is so divorced from anything that's happening in the DC world that it literally, that's probably like why it kind of got saved. Unfortunately, other than Batgirl, is that it was so divorced from everything that you could probably use, like put that in a different universe, but we'll see.
Yeah. What are you guys thinking for grades?
I can give this a B.
You know what? I think I'll give this a B. I think I'll save the final C for the next film.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll give this a B minus, I would say. All right, the final DCEU film, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
But not the last movie we're talking about on this show.
Not the last one. There's one more after this, but the end of the universe is here. I think this is lower from the first film for me. I don't think it's as good, but it's still a movie. It's a C. I'm going to give it a C. I vote this goes into the seventh C.
I don't really remember much from this, I'll be honest. So I'm actually just going to say D. I'm fine.
All right, Kale, can you save it?
This is the last C, like that's then sure, but like I just I don't care about this enough to like put it above a D.
Sure, that's fair. All right, Kale, can you save this?
So I like this just about as much as the first one. Like I think this is a lot of fun to watch. Like and I love like the production design so much. I love the visual effects. I love the Patrick Wilson, Jason Momoa like teaming up. And the joke of him eating the cockroach,
Yep. That's how this whole universe ends.
I do think it's kind of silly that, the whole movie's like on, is leading on, Jason Momoa wants to lead, the whole season to like a better union between land and sea. And there's like that's the whole civil debate. And then Aquaman's just like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm just going to do it without the council. And I think that is a great, funny ending. Other than that, great opening with Born to be Wild, who I know Brandon's not here anymore, but,
right.
There's his Steppenwolf reference. I don't know. I really liked it. I think James Wan's, it's sad that he never got to do a trilogy of this, but I really like these two movies a lot. And this was the only DC movie like I really, really like went to bat for. Like after everything, so I give this a B plus, but that should give us an average
of C. The 7 C's. We did it. We united the 7 C's, baby.
Yes.
All right, but it's not over because we got one final movie. That's Joker 2.
Maybe we can do an 8th C. Let's sneak in another C. We'll see.
We don't need to do that. I mean, for the record, I would give Joker 2 a C.
I probably would too. Yeah.
Honestly, to make this, not to make this quick because we can still talk about it, but I'm giving it a C plus.
Okay. I think that's fair. I think I'd do that.
Yeah. I don't think it's as good as the first one. I I mean, the fact that it is like a musical of sorts, it did intrigue me enough to want to be like, okay, I'm at least excited for this somewhat, because I think if this was the same as the first one, I probably would not have had any interest in watching this, to be perfectly honest. But the fact that it was different in that sense, I think gives it some points. I don't like this as much. That's the problem.
So let me ask this: why do you guys not like this as much as the first one? Because I don't really love the movie, but I do find this more intriguing than the first one.
I do too. I want to clarify this. I think the first one's just the more solid movie, but there's a lot more in this that kind of intrigues me. So I think
Go ahead.
so. I think probably my biggest issues with the movie is just like thematically, there's not really too much of a change from the first movie. I guess the approach is that Arthur is kind of coming more to terms of like what he did after the first movie. He doesn't really like the Joker mantle, but that's just kind of replaced by Harley, which I guess is just the point. It's just like the Joker
Sure.
in this universe. He's not a one person. It's more of an idea that's transferable from one person to the next. But I don't know. It just didn't really stick with me as much as I wanted it to.
I think the problem is like the musical aspect of it itself was a bit of a letdown for me. For one, I am bummed that it was a jukebox musical. I think I would have liked this more if this was an original musical with original songs.
I wish it was.
But the other problem is there's too much of it. Like there's a part where like Harley is like singing outside of the court, and it's like, okay, why do you need to be singing this right now? Like, why do we need to do this? It was just too much. And Brandon's not on, but before we started recording, he was like, the reason he didn't see this was because it's a musical. And I like a good musical, but I just did not, I didn't think it was executed as best as it could.
So for me, and I agree, I think the musical part, like I wish it was, because it is kind of like, as it's presented now, it is kind of like this weird mishmash of like, there's dream sequences that kind of are musicals, but then they go to like this variety show as well.
Mm-hmm. That's the kind of stuff I do like. I do like that stuff quite a bit. It's just everything else. It's like, did it really need to have a musical number here? I don't think so.
Right. But it is trying to tackle a lot. Like it's trying to deconstruct the first movie. Like I feel like Todd Phillips kind of watched the reaction of this movie and went, this was not what I intended. This was not, the movie. Like you guys are misreading this movie. Like, I think Phillips does come down really hard on Arthur Fleck on, like he thinks his protagonist is the villain. Mm-hmm. And I think that's only much more assured, in this movie because because really what's most fascinating about this movie is he gives Arthur like the power, stage of like, I'm going to represent myself. I'm going to go full tilt crazy and embrace the full tilt, like insanity of this like event
mm-hmm.
and capitalize it, and does like a whole, stereotypical like lawyer thing,
Mm-hmm.
But then like he kind of realizes after a certain point that, oh wait, I'm the villain. This is the problem. And I think that's actually kind of interesting. Like the movie
mm-hmm.
ends on this note of like, he realizes he did fuck up and he did kill all those people, and like he should have received the help long before. Like he's the one that kind of like in hindsight realizes, and I understand that kind of it is a frustrating thing that to watch a character like understand their whole decision making has been complete shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's fascinating for Arthur Fleck, is to be like, he's so like, he finally has this egotistical moment. He finally gets his moment where he's like, I must be seen or nothing at all. And then he goes, oh wait, I'm the problem. He's the anti-hero that Taylor Swift is singing about. So I find
I don't really have that much. That's fair. I mean, I don't have that much else to add, so I guess we could wrap it up there. So
Yeah.
C tier for that one. So we did it. We did every DC movie ever made. So maybe in like 5 years when James Gunn's universe gets canceled, we'll tier list those. We'll see.
Yeah. Or
we'll see how it all goes.
Or 5
All right,
minutes from now. Yeah.
Right. But Kale, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Movie Kale. This is where you can get all the information on my 2 shows, the Youth Critic podcast, which Alex and Chris have both been on, and Brandon, of course. And this in the Youth Critic podcast is where we talk about current release movies. As of this podcast release, we will have new episodes on How to Train Your Dragon remake and Materialist. And also, this is where you can see the part 1 of this discussion. So if you were wondering why we started at Man of Steel and not like it, the Adam West Batman or whatever, just go to my channel and watch part 1. And that's where you can go and listen from Superman and the Mole Men all the way up until Dark Knight Rises.
That's correct. And like I said at the top, the description or the link to that episode is going to be in the description. So check that out. Also, check out my work on the Amazing Spider Talks YouTube channel. I am the video editor there, so watch everything. And yeah, Chris, where can people find you online?
You can find me over on Instagram and Letterboxd.
I'm also on Letterboxd too. I think we're all on Letterboxd, so follow us on there. So yeah, that'll about do it. Thanks again for coming on, Kale. We'll see you next time eventually. We'll figure something out.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all come on my show and we'll talk some movies. We'll talk some comic book movies when they get made.
Perfect. All right, that's about it, everybody. See you next time. Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.